From service to strength, from questions to choice, guidance you trust, HerVetVoice.
Hello, everyone. How are you? And welcome to HerVetVoice. And as you can see tonight, we have Mr. Dewayne Kimble with us. Thank you all for joining. As you know, I am HerVetVoice. I am medically retired and have now become a VA consultant and started my platform here. And I have the pleasure tonight of sitting with the man himself, Mr. Dewayne Kimble. And tonight we are going to dedicate our voices into empowering and educating you veterans, okay? You know that I am a big advocate for women veterans, and I do have some very interesting questions for Dewayne tonight. Our goal here is always to make sure that the veteran understands the claim process, whatever questions you have. We are going to be focusing heavily on education of disability claims, secondary conditions, women veterans, all type of stuff. And I have plenty of questions to ask Mr. Kimble tonight, and I'm sure he is going to answer them in the best way that he can. But Dewayne, it is such a pleasure to sit here with you tonight. I am definitely honored, and I am so looking forward to this conversation. So,
thank you. Definitely, thank you for having me. It's an honor for me to come on your platform and do what we love to do, is to educate and empower all veterans as it pertains to the VA compensation benefits. We were just talking about, along the way, I've been, things, how I've grown on YouTube and so forth. But I just want to say, I wish you much success in your YouTube journey, because the 6 years I've been on YouTube, the power in our voice, the power that we have to share the knowledge that we have, so we can reach back and help other veterans reach whatever highest percentage they feel they should be, whether that's 100%, 90, 50, or whatever it is, and help alleviate some of that frustration and cut through that red tape. So again, I'm wishing you much success on your YouTube channel, and it is a pleasure to be here with you this evening.
All right. So I guess we can see who's here with us. San Diego Marine, how are you? Hey, Warren. Hey, VetVoice. And Dewayne, I hope you both have a wonderful day today. And thanks for doing this session together. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Good evening. If you're a vet, y'all just starting off straight off the bat.
Yeah.
We say hey, and we getting into it tonight. Okay, we'll come back to your question. Hey Grace, how are you? Here we go. Double dose. Hey Skins, how are you? Look at somebody saying Dewayne is the bomb. Of course he is. Hey Annette. Everyone needs to get in Dewayne's boot camp to help him. Absolutely. Dewayne's squad is here, and thank you so much for joining. Once you get Mr. Kimble on your channel, know that you're doing it right and getting positive traction. Thank you so much. Oh my God. Y'all, Scotty, you better say hi. Say hi, Scotty.
He came out the gate like get all that.
Okay, guys, we are going to get to your questions, but tonight I have a few questions for Dewayne before we get totally into the Q&A of what you have. And my first question out of the back is, Dewayne, what is one claim that you would never, ever forget?
Wow. Ooh. There's several. There's several. Actually, it's a tie between two. But I give you one. It was a veteran out of Jacksonville, Florida, was a dump truck driver, had an accident, rear-ended a lady. He was a 88 Mike in the Army, which is the truck drivers.
Yeah.
And he filed a claim. I can't remember which knee it was for, left or right. And I looked at it. And this is back when they had paper files. So you can see my paper file sitting back there, right?
I see it back there, yeah.
Yeah. So we had paper files, and he didn't have that much. and as it pertains to evidence in his service treatment records. But
Yeah.
on his separation exam,
hmm
he checked knee pain. So that was enough for me to schedule a C&P exam. Now, in my mind, I'm thinking, slim chance he's not going to get it. It comes back, but I'm on vacation. So my coach gives it to somebody else. It's a positive opinion.
Wow.
He's only going to get like 100 and some bucks. It goes to another rater on my team at the time that was very hard on veterans.
Oh, wow.
And so the veteran basically stated that he ran into somebody, his job had fired him. He had to move back in with his ex-wife. He was on a couch. And I'm like, okay, makes sense. It happens. But this other rater looked at it and violated the 38 CFR, and I can't think of the number of the 38 CFR, where you're not supposed to let your personal feelings
Yes.
come into play as it pertains to when you're adjudicating the claim.
Yes.
This individual went out of his way to figure out how to deny the claim, even send an addendum back to the C&P examiner, basically asking him, are you sure?
Oh, wow.
So I'm looking at all this after the fact because the veteran's POA, I knew him. When I say POA, when I was a rater, we didn't call them VSOs. We call them POAs, okay?
Gotcha.
So if I say POA, I'm talking about either
VSO.
lawyer or claims agent or VSO. And he was asking me about it, and I'm looking at everything I just stated, and I'm like, have him do an appeal.
Wow.
Have him do an appeal and call me as a witness. Well, I went to work from home, and about a year later, I see this POA, and we're just talking. I'm like, hey, whatever happened to this vet? He died.
Oh, no.
And he never got service connected. Now, I remember his MOS from the military, the job that he had, and the condition was called chondromalacia. I think I'm pronouncing that right. And the examiner was going back and forth with this rating. He was like, look, I'm a medical professional. This is a progressive condition from repetitive motion. The veteran was an 88 Micra truck driver and pressing on and off. Guy, so back then, you didn't have like ABS brakes where you can just tap it and come to a slow stop, right? But this rater, I never looked at that rater the same. Wow. And it was multiple people like that on my team. And that was one of the reasons why I requested to work from home full time, because I didn't want to, I was that guy that like Bernie Mac, I'm going to say what you don't, I'm going to say what you want to say, So I was like, it might be best for me to, work from home in my little safe and protected environment. But yeah, that case is still, and we're talking maybe in a couple of years, 20 years ago.
Wow.
Yeah.
So I do have the good questions tonight. Okay. Yep.
All right.
So let's get into this first question here. Good evening, DK and everyone. If a vet is seeking TDIU, what evidence demonstrates inability to secure or follow substantially gainful employment? As a former rater, what would you look for in the record?
Wow, good question. So a lot of veterans, you got to think about the criteria, scheduler criteria for IU. And a lot of veterans don't know you don't have to meet that criteria to get a C&P exam.
Correct.
For example, let's say if you are service connected for PTSD at 50%, you don't meet the scheduler criteria. I'm going to schedule that C&P exam because IU is not a standalone claim. It is a claim for increase for the service-connected conditions that you state prevent you from gainful employment. So I've rated cases where it came in. I've granted the increase from 50 to 70 or sometimes 100. And back then, we had to deny IU and say it was moot because 100% permanent total is the greater benefit of the two. Okay. Yes. So it's a claim for increase. So you have to go in and, and there's been times where I increase the veteran from 50 to 70 and deny it to IU. Okay. So veterans have to first understand that. And it's not so much what I wanted to see about if you couldn't work, but how you stated to the examiner, the evidence, if you had evidence to show, hey, this prevents me from working. For example, let's say, because on that second page, I think it used to be on the second page of the 8940, ask about education.
Yeah.
People don't talk about that. Here's the thing. This is what me as a rater, I'm going to be looking at when it comes back. If you have, let's say, a GED or a high school diploma, and you show that you've just been laying bricks all your life, and you have your service connected for the back, and you can't get up and down that scaffold. You can't do that manual labor like that anymore. Okay. And secondary employment, meaning you may not be able to go and be a Walmart greeter.
Yes.
But let's take another veteran that has a PhD and that's an educator that can work from home doing Zoom classes.
Yeah.
Okay, so you can see
Exactly.
the difference there, right? So if you have
PhD, yes.
exactly, so now you got some evidence to show, hey, this is my education level. I can't do this, and you really have to. And this is where no one can do this for you. Not a POA, not a consulting company, not a claims agent, not an attorney. When you get in that C&P exam, they're not going to be there with you. You have to reasonably articulate your symptomology to that examiner. Hey, my back, my knees prevents me from doing these roles and responsibilities that are listed on my what they call it, the job board or whatever, job aid, where it gives description of your job. So basically, if your examiner, not your examiner, but yeah, your private doctor, whomever, you give them 10 things that's in your roles and responsibilities.
Yeah.
How does your service connected conditions that you put on the 8940 prevent you from doing that?
Correct. And now that we're talking about TDIU, I always enforce, make sure that this is something that you want to get into. Okay. The perimeters for TDIU are very strict. And I'm going to tell you, I've had a couple of clients, if you make $1 over the amount of money that you make, Social Security is going to report you to the VA. Okay. You're going to lose your TDIU.
Can you say that again?
If you make $1 over the limit for your TDIU, Social Security Administration is going to report it to the VA without you even knowing. You will then receive your letter in the mail telling you that you no longer meet the qualifications. And then if you decide that you got TDIU, do not call me and ask me to go scheduler because you don't like the limitations on TDIU. Now, I get a lot of people that ask, can I go from TDIU to scheduler because I don't like the limitations? Then why did you choose TDIU?
Why did you choose? I just talked to a veteran the other day for over an hour on the phone, and he's been TDIU for almost, I think he said 20 years. And they're proposing to sever because he made over the poverty threshold. And his argument is, well, he requested an RVSR hearing, which he's entitled to because of the adverse action. But he's thinking, well, if they would have scheduled it sooner, I would have been under the 20-year rule. And I'm like, that 38 CFR that covers the 20-year rule has nothing to do. So you're saying because they didn't schedule it within the 20 years,
that you still don't
forget about
the rules,
which you made over the poverty threshold. And I was like, if I was in that hearing, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna take care of you. And I hate to say that because, I'm thinking now, if I was in that situation, I'm like, I'm going to the hearing and saying, hey, look, I tried to go back to work. I couldn't do it. I'm going to use that to my advantage. I couldn't do it. I had to walk away. Here's my doctor's information saying, nope, basically you shouldn't have went back. You can't do that and go to another exam, opposed to this whole 20-year thing. And they're like, oh, well, the lawyer said. I'm like, okay, you know what? You go ahead and you do you. But just because they didn't schedule your RVSR hearing within you were going to be that time frame of you being 20 years doesn't protect you.
Correct.
It doesn't protect you. And I hope
they're listening.
I
hope they're listening because they can always go back and replay. So our next question is from Scotty. Question: why is it taking my back pay audit over 110 days and I still have not heard from them?
As my grandfather used to say, keep on living. Keep waiting.
Anytime the VA owes you money,
well,
it takes a long time.
Here's the thing. If finance has to get involved in that.
DFAS has to get involved? Yes.
If finance gets involved in that, that is a small department. you're talking maybe, um, I worked at the largest regional office in the country, finance department, maybe 12 people,
Yeah.
including supervisors. And that's like you said, it's not a priority. Like
It's not.
adding dependents is not a
It's
priority.
not. It's not. And also, even when I know you guys sometimes feel like, oh, I don't have anything to do with DFAS. DFAS has checks and balances over there as well.
Yep.
So whatever the VA does, they always have to balance it off of VA. I mean, off of DFAS. So the VA might have already finished your audit, but they also need a yes from DFAS, which they both work together in the two different entities work together. So DFAS might be dragging their feet over there because it's not a priority for them. And VA has already finished, but the VA can't give you the okay because they have to make sure you have no other debt to also your military service. So that could also be it, Scotty. Good evening. If you're granted SMCLT, is it supposed to reflect it under your disability rating on the VA app or web account?
I'm not, a lot of people ask about the app. I don't go in there as much.
The app is finicky.
I would say probably not. But what you want is it will be reflected in your rating decision, which you should have a copy of
Letter.
that. Also, make sure you submit your FOIA request and get a copy of your rating code sheet, because not only will it be on there, it'll have the code
Yes.
and the requirements for whichever SMC
Correct.
they assign.
All right. If I join the Army with no flat feet, then another physical while in the Army incorrectly wrote congenital X-ray to record flat feet, and then my separation exam says no foot issues. Is this annoyance an issue?
I still would request the exam, because what I'm looking for, and this is the way I was trained as a St. Petersburg regional office, 5 things: treatment, diagnosis, treatment, complaint, injury, event, to include disease. So I'm still going to request a C&P exam, and I'm going to let that examiner tell me yay or nay. But the veteran needs to have some evidence, right? And to be able to speak to that. Because one of the things that happened to me, he was like, well, you don't have anything on your separation exam. I was like, look, I was in a combat arms unit. I was in the 1st Cavalry Division. I was ready to leave. And I was told at the Troop Medical Clinic 2 that if I check anything going here, I'm going to be held over. So I sucked it up.
There you go.
And that's what happened. And he was like, okay, not all examiners are going to understand.
They're not the same either, because, okay, if you joined the Army, you had no flat feet, and then you did a physical in the Army, and you're saying that they incorrectly wrote it. The physician could possibly feel like it's not flat feet, because physicians see things from a different perspective or a different light, right? So one might not feel that at that time. I'm not saying that it wasn't incorrectly done, but the provider at that time could possibly think that you didn't have flat feet, right? And then when you go to the separation exam, it's a total different provider as well. So when you look at providers and how they see things, you'll have to put those things into play as well. But it is an issue. And I would still do the exam to make sure. Because when you go do the C&P exam, it could say you do have flat feet, or you don't. So it depends. All right. So let's throw another question in here to Dewayne. In your experience, are women veterans underreporting conditions?
I think so, especially when it comes to PTSD due to military sexual trauma. I think it's harder for female veterans to speak about it. I've had clients that went years, and when they contacted me, I could tell it was hard for them to relive that, if you will. And and that's one I think that they underreport, because it's like, you have to almost draw some information out, right? So I would say yes, and that's an example of a condition I think they underreport.
All right, let's get to if a veteran has 90% and status honorable, will their dependents be eligible for educational benefits?
I think in some states you have to check. I think Alabama is really generous. I hear that they don't have to be 100% PNT to get like
The
they get a
state,
different yeah, they
state
get a different state. Right.
scholarship?
Right.
Yes.
Right.
So
Here in
there are
Florida,
some scholarships that are available statewide.
yeah.
Yes.
So I would say check the state to see if they do something different because
Mhm.
each state does things different, especially as it pertains to, the property tax exemption. If you're
Yeah.
100% PNT, Alabama, you don't have to be
Wow.
100% to get the tax exemption. I think I've heard Massachusetts, they don't do anything. California, they prorate it. I was going to buy a house
Florida
next to
prorates it as well, right? You don't have to be 100, but they take
oh,
some of the
Florida.
homestead off. Yeah.
Well, yeah, if you're not 100%, they do give you a small exemption. You really don't see it, but every little bit counts, right?
All right.
Uh, it's just Florida, the closer you live to the water, the more your
The more-
property tax is gonna be, so that helps out, right?
Hey, Mr. Ray, how are you? Okay. Thank you.
Mhm.
Still active duty fighting a VA claim, but noticed errors on the DBQ. Panic attacks were mentioned in the mental health exam, but the box was not checked. Told I have to fight this after I get out. Is this true? Thank you for this question, Marissa. This is a
Mm.
great question.
Yeah, I rated, several BDD claims and answers, no. Um, I think I haven't seen any preliminary ratings get done for veterans while on active duty because there's so many.
Mhm,
I was rating before BDD came on board. So when
mhm,
BDD came on board, they were only being handled at the Winston-Salem, North Carolina regional office. And then,
mhm.
it got to a point where they couldn't keep up, right?
Yeah,
And they just opened it up. But they would get a preliminary hearing. As long as they were still within that 90, 180-day window, they could come back in for a claim for increase. They could file something new. So
yeah.
if you're in that window, you got a preliminary rating, and you're within that window, then you have the option to do that. But here's the thing, continue to go get treatment
Every time. Yep.
because when you come off active duty, time's up. Like taking a test, that last day, time's up. So if you have to later come and do increase after active duty, you still have documentation while you were on active duty. Okay.
Continuity of care. It
Mhm.
is something that veterans do not understand the effects behind it. If you get out and you have something going on and you decide that you do not want to go to the doctor for 5 years and you wake up one day and decide that you want to go file it, there is no continuity of care. So the VA is going to say, what? This is not precedent in your life. It was not bothering you that much that they feel that you deserve a disability claim should be looked at, right? They're big on that. And I have two raters that I, collaborate with on my channel all the time.
Mhm.
They look for doctor's visits. They count the amount of visits, and we'll get Natural to join us, here in a little bit, but they count the amount of visits. They count when you went to the doctor. They look at those small things. And I know sometimes that veterans like, oh, I had it. It's definitely there. But if it was so pertinent and it was so important, why did you not continue to go to the doctor?
Well, two things. When I rated, I didn't count the doctor visits. If it was in service, I'm requesting an exam. You didn't have to have a diagnosis.
Wow.
If you had a complaint in service, because the M21-1 states that the veteran is not competent to diagnose themselves, but they are competent to give the symptoms.
Yeah.
So I'm going to give you a 50-50 shot
Mhm.
going to that C&P exam, and hopefully you have a diagnosis in your evidence.
Yes.
So that examiner can't say you don't have a diagnosis or
Yeah.
it's age progression. Now, that happened to me. When I filed my claim, I was like 12 years. I had some treatment in between, but when I got to that C&P exam, the examiner was like, well, you don't have a lot of treatment. I was like, here's why. I was in a
Mhm.
combat arms unit.
Yeah.
It was frowned upon to go to sick call.
Yeah.
So eventually you stop going because people start teasing you and you're like, oh, you weak and all this other
Yeah.
stuff. You're a weak
Yeah.
link.
Mhm.
when you separate, do you think that mentality changes?
No, it
They
stays
don't flip the, like Rambo told Colonel
until
Trapman,
on. Correct.
you just can't turn it off.
Yeah.
So I was like, and sometimes you are refused
Yeah.
medical treatment because the first sergeant will come down there. What you here for? Get out of here. Suck it up.
Yep.
Go change and
Mhm.
get the morning formation.
Yeah.
So when you get out, you still had a mentality. But I think the training has changed a lot since I left. So now would I, some of the things that I did with my claim, would I do it today? No, it would
No.
be done differently
Yeah.
because you got the intent to file. And I did a video, intent to file, start getting treatment, documentation, get
Audit.
documentation, and then file a claim and fight it from there.
Yeah. I get a lot of veterans that, they've gotten out 20 years ago and now they want to file for diabetes or they want to file for hypertension and they have all of this and it's just a fight. It's definitely a fight because if you have not been getting your diabetes treated in all this time frame, the documentation, going to the doctor. And I want veterans to know something. I don't care which doctor you choose to go to. Just go to one. Just go to the doctor. It doesn't have to be at the VA. It doesn't have to be in community care. It can be your own personal physician. Okay, go to the doctor. Just get up and go. Right. All right. So
her best voice, real quick.
Go ahead.
If I don't say hi to this this veteran, I know he gonna tell me, "Hey, you still don't." Mr. Ray, Mr. Ray, how are you doing? I see you in the chat, so I just want to say hi.
Hi to Mr. Ray. Yeah.
You did, Mr. Ray. There he is.
Hey, Mr. Ray.
Last time he was on live, he was like, "Well, you didn't even say hi to me." So I'm just saying hi to Mr. Ray. Yeah.
So I have a question for you, and we're going to try to answer all the questions, guys, as much as we can. Why didn't Mr. Dewayne Kimble become accredited?
Awesome question. It's the first time I've been asked, and I'm glad you asked that question. Actually, when I retired from rating, I put in my paperwork to be accredited.
Wow.
I submitted it. 2 years later, so I had my recommendations from people, some people that I work with. I think one had retired at the VA, the other two still worked at the VA. So I had all that, completed the form, submitted it, get a phone call 2 years later. Your paperwork is incomplete. I'm like, what part? And I was in a meeting. I had my application. I always kept it in a portfolio because I'm like, they're going to call, at a time that I'm busy or something, right?
Yeah.
And I was like, what section is incomplete? And I'm like, no, I'm looking at the copy that I sent you. I was like, okay, so I'll send it back. So the conversation, my question then was, do I go to the back of the line or, you can get this submitted so I can go take this little test? And they were like, hold on. They came back and they was like, well, I can't get a clear answer, but I'm thinking you go back to the end of the line. So you're going to make me wait another 2 years? I was like, it's nothing wrong with my paperwork. So we were going back and forth from that. And I was like, okay, you all are playing games. I'm just going to push forward and continue to educate veterans. But I actually put the paperwork in to become a claims agent. And I've had firms reach out to me and say, hey, can you come on board? And I was like, no, because they were a couple of things that they were doing. One, they were like, we only do appeals. So, because that's the only time they get paid. And I'm like, oh, so I get it. You're a for-profit business. I get it.
Yeah.
I don't, I just, I want to do some pro bono stuff, and they were like, no, we don't. I'm like, okay, not a problem.
Yeah.
And then others were like, we don't do fee agreements. So I'm like, well, how does your firm get paid? We sign an agreement with the veteran outside of the VA and we get 33 1/3. We don't want the 20%. And I was like, wow. I was like, no. So I was like, you know what? Let me create a lane where, my own niche within this niche where I can educate veterans. And that's why I decided not to continue to go that route. Now, others have, I know some, I work with some POAs, claims agents, great attorneys, awesome. And as a rating specialist, I worked with some that were not so good, So it's up to the veteran how they want to proceed. But yeah, that's the reason why. But initially, think it was either 2019 that I submit that. I think it was 2019 I submitted it, and 2021 is when I got that call. I just felt it was probably something going on behind the scenes because when I did something my last day on the
Mhm.
job, and I don't think that person cared for it too much. And I just always, I can't prove, but I just always like, okay, did
It's in the
they?
back of your head.
Yeah, did they do something? Yeah. But it wasn't nothing bad. I was just like, the service center manager was like, the assistant service center manager, I talked to her and she was like, hey, the service center manager want to congratulate you. And I was trying to get her attention and we end up in front of her office. And I was like, I don't have anything to say to her. She hadn't spoken to me. She hadn't said a word. All the years I've been here, she hadn't said hi. I don't have nothing to say. And I walked off and I left the building.
It's been, I think I put my paperwork in last year, August, and I haven't heard a word.
Yeah. Now the crazy thing, I could have went to law school, graduated, filled out the same paperwork, and got approved in 30 days and not know anything.
I have a friend that waited 3 years, and she finally just took the test and passed after waiting for 3 years. And
wow,
here's the thing about accreditation, right? And we're going to have this conversation. Accredited does not mean experienced, does not mean educated, and does not mean that they are proficient, right? If you have not taken a look at the questions for the accreditation exam, I suggest you do, because it does not have anything really to do with the VA disability claim and what you should choose and what diagnosis you should connect it to and what part of the body is affiliated with. It has nothing to do with that. You become proficient in processing claims by continuously doing them, right? By continuously working on them. So when we look at accreditation, yes, there are claim sharks. Yes, there are many people that take advantage of, veterans, and I'm not going to, negate that. Right. But there are also accredited agents who don't do the right thing and veterans don't get what they need or what they deserve based on their lack of the education for the VA disability claim process. So I just wanted to say that just because you have a title does not mean that you are proficient in what you are doing.
Right. But I'm curious, because why do you think veterans think that? Like, they'll say, are you accredited? I'm like, no, I was trained by the VA. I've actually helped people study for that test and pass, because as a rater, we had to take a test every 2 years where it was asking, when did diabetes, when was diabetes added to the Agent Orange presumptive list under 38 CFR? I remember this question, 38 CFR 3.309 subpart E. And I was like, oh, I went right to the M21-1 and I copied and pasted each date.
Yeah.
And it came up because you had I think 2.5 minutes to answer each question, or I would highlight the question and put it in Google. Now you can use ChatGPT, right? And sometimes you have to fact check ChatGPT, but then you could cross-reference that with the M21-1. So in my private membership, that's some of the things that I teach veterans, how to search the M21-1, how to go through the rating scheduler. I think one question was like, what is the criteria for the 40% for diabetes?
Yeah.
Daily insulin, regulation activities, and restricted diet.
Yeah, the questions are totally different compared to what. And one of the reasons why I think veterans now are so hell-bent on the whole accreditation thing is because the claim chart light has been shining very bright, right? And so now that the light has been shining bright on claim sharks, I think veterans now feel a sense of safety net when it comes to accredited agents. One, they are going to be held accountable with the VA, right? They don't get away like claim sharks do. But at the same time, when you look at an agent, a lot of people talk about the amount of money that agents make or claim sharks make behind it. Nobody sees the amount of hours it takes looking through medical records. Like I stayed up sometimes 3 a.m. in the morning, looking through 3,000 pages of medical records to help a veteran file their claim, right? But guess what? When you go to an attorney and you have a criminal case, you have to pay a retainer and then you have to pay the attorney, because why? the attorney has to work behind the scenes in order to get you to walk away not guilty, right?
Right.
The same thing for an accredited agent or the same thing for a consultant. It takes time, it takes energy, it takes effort, it takes research. So when we look at the amount of money that accredited agents are getting paid or whatever, you also have to consider the work that is being done behind the scenes. Okay.
Mhm.
You don't just wake up one morning and say, oh, I want to file for migraines and here's my records. Oh, it's going to happen. You have to diligently search through those records. You have to make sure you have the diagnosis. You have to look at the amount of care. You have to look for the medication, all those type of things. And then you have to ask the veteran, hey, do you have this? Did you go to this doctor? Can you get these medical records? The amount of time that you spend doing research, the veterans have no idea.
Oh, yeah. And I've known some VSOs, POAs, they walked away. They was like, they stressed out. And then some said, hey, I'm going to go become a claims agent because now I have a little bit more control of the cases that I accept. So, if I decide to go that route, someone says, hey, I got 10,000 pages in my claims folder. I got a number for you. I know somebody else, because like you said, you're going to be hours trying to go through and sift through all that information. Like you said, it takes time.
So this comment right here, I think it's more that the accredited agent can see what's in our VBMS file, so they're not guessing. Okay, I totally get it. But when we go back to doing the research and we going back to looking at stuff, right? The same records that's in VBMS is the same records that the veteran is going to provide to, whoever it is that's looking over their claim. I don't think that the person that is doing the claim is guessing. I don't think they're guessing. And I think sometimes veterans get carried away about what's in VBMS.
Yeah. Yeah. And some cases, when I was, I built I call it an educational packet. I built it. There's nothing else. There was nothing else out there like it. I built it, and I used the training that I received as a manager in the private sector when I learned process improvement, like Six Sigma, Starfleet, TPM, autonomous maintenance, all that stuff, right?
Yeah.
And I created that document. I didn't need to see what's in your file. If you were in Vietnam, you got a copy of your DD-214. Yes. Does this show RVN on there? Do you have a Purple Heart? Yep. Okay. Do you have a diagnosis of diabetes? Yes. You got a diagnosis for PTSD? Yeah. What was your stressor? Well, what is that? Well, were you in fear for your life when you were in Vietnam? Yeah.
There you go. Answer the questions. And sometimes a denial letter tells me exactly what the veteran needs before I even look in their medical records, because that denial letter is going to tell me everything that you submitted, what you didn't submit it, if you didn't have a migraine log, if you didn't have a diagnosis, if you didn't have the continuity of care, if there was no connection, it's going to tell you everything that you need. So I won't say trust in somebody because they can go look in VBMS, because guess what? Sometimes the people that you guys trust don't even look in VBMS.
Ooh, yeah. And I think in some handful of cases, you need that when you start talking about you trying to get SMC R1, R2, but it's not so much what's in the file for something like that. It's what you submitting that meets the criteria. Now, if you're trying to do a CUE and you're trying to go back 20 years, then you have to look at that. But most veterans have their VA claims folder, so you have your claims file. So you can give somebody access, limited access, to the information, and they can review it. So they're looking at the same information that the claims agent or attorney or POA would be looking at.
But another thing, if you don't know what to look for, then you can't miss it.
Whew.
Just because you're accredited does not mean that you win a claim either.
Right.
Okay. And just because you're a VSO does not mean you're going to win a claim either. A claim is won based on what? The elements, right?
Yeah.
The 3 elements. And you have to have everything. So I can be accredited and still go in VBMS and be lost.
Yep.
I have no clue what to look for.
Right. And VA employees get it wrong. I've gotten quality errors. Nobody's perfect. You know, when you looking at, my first book was, I think, 153 pages. And I read the manuscript several times before I published. But then when I got the book, I just had the book and I'm like, man, let me read it, put it on the list to read. And it
Yeah.
took me, I want to say about 3 hours, 150 pages,
Wow.
5 by 8. You talking about you got 5,000 pages, 8 by 11?
Yeah.
How long do you think it's going to take somebody to look through that stuff? And eventually they're going to start to get tunnel vision, right? So like you said earlier, you're going to be up to 3 o'clock in the morning, like you cramming for a final
Yeah.
or something like that.
Taking
And
notes. Yeah.
you could easily miss something. So it doesn't matter who's looking at it, but if
Yeah.
they don't know what to look for or have
Yeah.
a system in place, it could easily be missed.
You're correct. All right, so let's go to another question. Do you know if the regional offices have started rating the Barry versus McDonough cases for SMC step increase yet? I'm trying not to go to BVA if I can help it. Michael,
I haven't read that court
I
case.
haven't read it yet.
I
Yeah.
haven't read it.
I think this is a question that we'll probably ask Natural as she joins us here shortly, but we can ask, about the Barry and McDonough and try to remind me about that.
Yeah.
All right, so let's go in. I had a rate call. I applied for TDIU. He accused me of working. I told him I was not since 2013. Said I was getting SSI. I said no. They still turned me down.
That could have been, I doubt if that was a rater. That could have been a VSR in a
Yeah.
development phase.
Yes.
But the question, and I tell people when they call you, they got to verify it as you. So
Mhm.
why don't you verify who they are? What is your first name? They're not going to give you their entire name. What is your first name? What
Mhm.
is the regional office you work out of? What is the 3-digit code for that regional office? Are
Mhm.
you a VSR, RVSR, or decision review officer? And then you ask them, in this case, where did you see that information? What's in VBMS
Yeah.
that states that I am working? What document are you looking at? And if
Correct.
you, at that point, when you hang up that phone, if you haven't submitted a FOIA request to get a copy of your claims
Get
folder,
one.
you need to submit it. So
Mhm.
now you have some information when you get it to look for it for whatever they stated, opposed to, okay, let me go through these 1,000 pages and figure out what they looked at.
Yeah. And call to see exactly who called to ask you those questions, right? Call the VA back. If you don't feel comfortable, there's always going to be a note in there to say, well, this person called you and what it was pertaining to. Call them back, annotate something. Hey, they accused me of working. I'm not working, rebut what is being said. But it probably wasn't a rater. It was the VSR.
Yep. And they should know. I would have taken a step further. Hey, can you read back to me what's annotated on that 0820
Mhm.
report of contact form? Because I've seen them I've talked to vets and they're just talking and I'm trying to type that stuff as they're talking. I'm like, wait a minute, hold on,
Yeah.
so you always want to verify that as well.
All right, next question. Dewayne, does it harm us if we refuse the exam when we discharged from active duty back in 1996 for any potential claims now?
I wouldn't think so. But when you say exams, they weren't doing BDD claims back then, but um we refused an exam when we discharged. I mean, when I and so I don't think it would have an effect. I don't think it would have an effect. But again, we're just looking at a small snippet. You would have to go back and look at, okay, what are you doing now and what was done back then to get a concrete answer for that. But I would just say I don't see how it would.
All right, let's see here. Let's ask Dwayne, I have a question for you, and I want you to really think about this one.
Okay.
If you could change one thing about the VA system, what would it currently be?
I would fire everybody in management that gets a bonus. Here's why. I worked in the private sector in management for Fortune 500 companies, for-profit businesses. We were given bonuses not based off performance.
Mhm.
How did we help that company generate profits? How do we continue to keep that production line going, right?
Yeah.
So I would fire anybody in management. They got a bonus, or give them the option to when I'm evaluating them or in their evaluation,
Yeah.
how they helping reduce the backlog,
Yeah.
not by increasing production quotas, increasing production quality,
Yeah.
and then start changing the mindset of some of the employees,
Yeah.
changing the quality review. For example, if a veteran submits an actionable sufficient DBQ and you request a C&P exam, you get hit with a quality error
Yeah.
because you're wasting time and resources, because that's why they were implemented. Okay. And it's little things that could be done, but these managers are waiting on stuff from DC. Like they're reactive, they're
Yeah.
not proactive. But I would figure out a way to change that mindset
Yes.
as to how to reduce the backlog by not creating a backlog. And that's through educating the veteran and through some other programs that I worked at a FDC pilot
Okay. Mm-hmm.
where veterans could actually walk in and talk to me, bring me their claims. I could look at their DBQ and Nexus statement and say, okay, I'm gonna take this back to the regional office, have the VSR to CEST it, meaning generate an EP for it and rate that case the same day. I've done that, start to finish. Veteran submitted the claim. At the end of 2 hours, he was service connected.
Wow.
Because he had an actionable sufficient DBQ. And they didn't promote that office. They didn't expand it to other locations. I did a video right after I started my YouTube channel telling people, hey, contact your regional office, go to public contact and ask them, hey, do you all have a FDC pilot program like St. Petersburg, Florida?
Mm-hmm.
Do you all go to your local VA medical center and ask them, do you have a DBQ clinic where you can, here in Tampa, you can get up to 3 DBQs completed?
Yeah.
So that way, when the VA is promoting that, you're not adding to the backlog, right? You're being proactive. So these claims can get approved a lot faster, and it eliminates a lot of errors, like they do with the some what is it called, where they have these they go around the country and VSRs and RVSRs.
Oh, the claim clinics.
Yeah. Mm-hmm,
Yes.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Have more of those. Have them monthly.
Yeah. If you had the opportunity to rewrite the 38 CFR, what would be a couple of things that you would like to add in the 38 CFR?
Wow.
I told you I got the questions tonight.
Yeah. I would put more. I would add to that attitude of the adjudicator.
Okay.
When it comes to personal feelings, because I've seen that a lot. And I've seen ratings where veterans got, and I looked at it and they didn't even know. I could see it because those people, they can't help themselves. They just got to tell somebody. And they'll tell you in that rating decision, but you're going to miss it because you don't speak the VA claim language. Correct. So I would put a little bit more stipulations on that around that particular 38 CFR. It's a bunch of other ones, but that one just popped out.
Yeah. Okay. So let's get a couple of questions going. I just finished my HLR on Monday, received a decision letter yesterday. In the letter, it stated that a diagnosis was identified as well as terror during the specific period. A duty to assist error was identified.
Right. So that's not a bad thing. So possibly what it sounds like, you got denied under, if you claimed it, pre-service aggravation or direct, and it sounds like the VSR and the rater, they didn't take issue with terror. So the duty to assist could be they're going back to say, hey, the veteran has this diagnosis. Is it due to terror? So that's not always a bad thing. Somebody caught it. Somebody should have caught it at the rating activity, but good thing the Joe caught it.
Okay, let's get a question here before I bring Natural up. Question: my father-in-law did not get his 2026 COLA. The VA opened an eligibility claim audit. It's been since December 29, 2025, and his claim is still in step. Why wouldn't he receive a COLA? Weird to me. So I think it's a system glitch here. Sometimes when you're working in finance, if you have ever worked in finance, sometimes when it's time to give people bonuses and stuff, there's some people that would be, that would be slipped. The system would just skip it. This seemed like, because I don't know if you guys understand when the COLA is increased, like they don't go in and individually put it for everyone. This system is going to put the percentage in there for everyone and is calculated. So, see, I think in this instance, your father-in-law was skipped or some type of error occurred when it was time to process his COLA. And so because it slipped, now the VA probably needs somebody to go in there and do it manually. And like just Mr. Kimble said, the finance office is a small amount of staff. This is not a priority because they're saying that he's probably still getting paid. And one day it's just going to pop up and he's going to get all the money that's owed, but they're not going to make this a priority. Why? Because he's still getting paid, but it is in motion, but it's not a priority.
Right. Also, this is not a bad thing.
Yeah.
I'm happy to see this comment.
Yeah.
You know why? Because most veterans do not check.
Yeah.
On the 1st of January, they do not check their compensation to see if they're getting paid the correct amount.
Yeah.
So at least this veteran's family member, they caught it. They checked it and was like, hey, it's wrong.
Well, this is a great comment here for you, Dwayne. I bought your book. Now I am 100% P&T. Awesome.
Yeah. Thank you for the support.
Oh, before we get anywhere going any further, let's bring Natural up. And guys, Natural is a rater currently working with the VA. There are going to be specific questions that are, if they're out of the box, I am going to halt her from answering because we also want to protect her career. She is a great asset to the VA community when it comes to processing claims. She has worked for the VA for over 19 years, experienced senior rater, does a great job at what she does, but we are going to put our brakes on here because we don't want her to say anything that's going to jeopardize her career. And we want to make sure, okay, that we remain integral and she does not cross the lines. Okay, so if there's a question that I feel is a little bit unsafe, I or Dwayne will answer and we will allow her to maintain her integrity. And there's no conflict of interest here. Okay. Natural, how are you? Welcome to our live. Here we go.
Good evening. Thank you for saying that, but I'll get them together. I will get I have no holds barred when it, but I appreciate you for having my back. Thank you.
All right. So let's see here. I'm Dwayne. It says, my spouse recently sent a copy of his VA appeal that came back as a Q in his favor. A copy was sent to the ABCMR as additional evidence for his upgrade request. Will his OTH be charged?
I think it's supposed to be changed.
Changed.
Changed. Yeah. If they granted the CUE, they won't change it automatically. That the vet has to go in and change it. I'm pretty sure initially when they filed their claim, the VSR should have done with a COD, which is called a character of discharge. And that lets the veteran know if they are barred for compensation or barred from healthcare treatment. But if they want a CUE on appeal, they're not gonna. They can't. The VA can't go and change, do a DD 215 and change your character of discharge. No.
All right, let's see here. 15,800 is the limit. Anything over, it definitely does. Okay. I am recently being awarded 100% P&T multiple conditions. I should be happy. I should be able to focus on my family and medical care. I have more anxiety now than the PTSD caused me. Oh man, I'm so sorry.
Yeah. I think it probably has a second part to this somewhere.
Let me see. Oh, or maybe that is what contributes to it. What should I be focusing on? I can't even enjoy my good days. So I'm so sorry that you're going through this, right? And this is part of the reason why we decided to collaborate and talk about some of the things that you guys see on, YouTube, or you guys hear. You have to guard your eye gates and you have to guard your ear gates when it comes to certain things that you are, hearing on social media, right? Some things are just there because some other people don't have anything to do, and there's some people who are there to educate. You're going to have to pick and choose what you are willing to hear and see and be able to live your life comfortably. If not, you will forever be living on the edge.
Most definitely.
Yeah. So I want you to focus on the positive thing is that your disability was approved. You now have the opportunity to live financially comfortable with your family. Every single day is a new day. Remember that. What happened yesterday no longer matters. And so in order to move forward, you're going to have to take the step, regardless of if it's a small step. Get up, go outside, get some sunshine, take a walk in the park. Do those things that make you happy. And try not to be so dedicated to social media because it can have a big effect on your mental space.
Mm-hmm.
It can. And I hope that helps you because you should be able to enjoy your good days instead of being focused on what's happening. So because we have natural here, Dewayne, I want to talk to you a little bit about this whole DBQ fraud. I'm not going to go do my C&P exam. I don't care what you say. I'm going to shut you down because I paid for my DBQ. My physician that I seen did it all, and I don't care what the VA says, I'm going to submit it. But when I submit it, I have not reviewed it. It's a fraudulent DBQ. And where do I go from here?
Right.
What are your thoughts?
Well, I talked about this a lot on my channel, and I was actually rating before DBQs came out. I don't know if natural. Were you rating natural when they had RBA 2000?
No.
Okay. So you had to do a lot of, probably showing my age there a little bit, but you had to do a lot of typing back then, and then we went to VBMS. But when DBQs, I had 4 C&P exams because back then there was no third-party contractors. You had to go to the VA medical center to the C&P department, and I had 4. Mm-hmm. 2 exams were really great. The other 2 were horrible. And when I went to the release of information, I got those exams, and those examiners flat out lied. And it took me years to get that turned around. And during that time, DBQs came out, and I made a conscious decision at that time. I'm never going back to another C&P exam because I didn't know who to trust at the C&P office. Yeah. So I went out and I got my own DBQs, and we had to receive training on what makes a DBQ actually most efficient. So before I even went to the doctor, I knew what I was claiming, how I was claiming it, and what evidence I needed them to review for them to, complete my DBQ and nexus statement. And I submitted it, and they were requesting C&P exams. I'm like, no, I'm not going. And I even had to go to an appeal to fight that. And even the droves, like, are you willing to report for a C&P exam? And I was like, well, let me ask you this. I can't think of the name of that. They call that training. What is it, Natural? What is that training? You go into the MTS, you have to log in, and they have the course. TMS. So we had to take the TMS training on what makes a DBQ actual sufficient. And it was like a couple of months prior. And I asked the draw, I was like, have you done your TMS training that was posted like 2 months ago? And she looked, she knew I was sensitive 7, but she didn't know what my job title was. And she was like, yes, I took that training. I say, so per that training, you can use the evidence of my DBQ and nexus statement without a C&P exam. And I gave her the regulation. She looked at it and she was like, yes, you're right. Now, a lot of veterans don't know that. So I tell veterans, it is up to you to make that decision if you're going to go or not go, but understand what can happen and what can happen.
Yes.
And I give them an example in both cases. If you go, and I've got an upcoming video where there's this controversy between RVSRs and DROs. How is it that some raters are using DBQs, others are not? And then when a veteran goes to the high-level review, the DRO is saying, yep, I can use it. So there's a disconnect there. And what that disconnect is, I have, I think it's probably in the training, or like we said earlier, when I had some of those raters on my team, they were like, this is a welfare system for veterans, and they would do anything they could to deny their claim. At the front office, we call it the front office, where AVSMs and the service center manager, if they said, hey, my coach, have Dewayne look at this and see if he can rate it. And I'm like, hey, I'm going to need more information. They would literally take that out of my queue and give it to somebody else on the team that normally would, they denied more than granted. And they were okay with that. They wanted it off the books. But at the end of the day, if you're going, the veteran has to take ownership as well. If you're going to these private examiner and they have you looking like John J. Rambo on there, you might not want to submit that. Okay. If they say, oh, I had a veteran submit a DBQ and he told his examiner the racket guard was approaching their position. Every other U.S. soldier retreated, ran. He jumped on the 60 and killed all their racket guard. Doesn't have any type of medal. Could have happened. And they put that in the DBQ.
Wow.
So if you go to the company and they're just putting a bunch of fluff in there, and you can look at copy and paste, is this you and all this stuff, and it looks great. And you submit it thinking, oh yeah, I'm gonna get one over on the VA, you might want to think twice.
Anything natural?
Well, you know I'm coming. So I have a love-hate relationship with private DBQs because a lot of times, so in Mr. Kimble's scenario, he knew what made a sufficient DBQ. He knew the laws and regulations, right? So he had a point to argue for his DBQ on why he did not have to go to the exam. Because if the exam is sufficient enough and the evidence supports it, then we can use the DBQ. But here's the problem that I have when it comes to the private DBQs. How can you do a telehealth appointment for a back, knees, ankles, all that? You cannot do that.
I knew you was about to serve.
How can you do ranges
Are
of
people
motion?
doing that?
Yes. And submitting them. Okay. So how can you go to this one examiner for the first time ever seeing you, and they mark everything, total and social occupational impairment, and every box on the symptomology check, and then I go look into Capri and you ain't been to the doctor since who knows when? And not saying that mental health, because I know sometimes mental health goes, up and down. I get it. But in my mind, I'm like, okay, benefit of the doubt. If this person is this bad where they can't get out of bed, they can't work, let me say they go to work, but they don't like being around people that, and they can't do their ADLs, and they can't do this, they can't do that. And I'm like, you ain't went to the doctor, you're not on medication, you're not on anything like this. The evidence of record don't support this. I can't take a person who doesn't regularly treat you on a regular basis saying, I saw this person one time, and yes, they're total and social impaired. They can't do anything. They can't, they can't take care of themselves. But you find them competent to handle their own benefits. It don't make sense, right?
Fix each other.
The other thing is, when you go to these private examiners for mental health, and you go and compare into their Capri and on the thing, and they're asking them, well, how are you doing? Or and they're like, oh, I'm great. The medication you gave me is working fine. I don't have no complaints. It contradicts each other, right? So I can't say, well, yeah, you are a total and social occupation. But over here at the VA, you're saying I'm great. You know, I'm gardening, I'm running, I'm doing all this
Dwayne,
stuff.
don't laugh.
I'm,
Dwayne, do not laugh.
I'm laughing because I rated cases like that. You get to see the DBQ, and when she's saying Capri, what that is, that's a system that raters can log into and see all your VA medical notes. Why would you go to a private doctor and you can't do nothing? And like she said, like Natural said, you go to the VA. Oh yeah, I'm doing good. And one of the things that I did when I found that out as a rater, I'm like, I'm not going to get any treatment at the VA because now there could be some conflicting, you know. So I found my own private doctors. And
but
so
even with that, Mr. Kimble, when they submit them private treatment records, sometimes we see that also. So it's like even with like backs and knees and things of that nature, and on your initial range of motion, you're like 140, 70, 80, 90. Then you drop down to 5, 0. It's no way possible that you can go from 140 on your initial, and then we get to your repeated, and you're like a 5. There's no, you ain't gonna be walking. There's no way. And so those are things that I look at. Or like if it's like you're in South Carolina and this person's in Florida, I know you didn't drive to Florida.
Now I had some where the vets submitted copies of their plane tickets and rental receipts where they flew to see that examiner. And I was like,
plausible.
You know, I was like, you know,
it's plausible because that's what they don't understand. We actually, well, I'm gonna say me, I actually map it. I'll look at your address and I'll look and see where that examiner is at, and I'll be like, come on, you know, or you live in Hawaii and you call you got a hour doctor. Come on now, I know good and well you ain't flew all the way from Hawaii to Iowa to get this exam, right? So this is what people need to understand. We don't look to discredit those DBQs. The evidence still has to be supported by what you submit. Some of those DBQs be so far-fetched, you be like, oh my God. And then when they be like, oh, I'm not going to the exam, rate on my evidence. Okay, but I'll be like, bet. Let's go. And then I will write a long narrative and tell them why we ain't accepting it. If they're already service connected, I will C&C and I'll give them a long story on why we didn't accept it. And I will go into their Capri and I'll be like, on this date, you said this. I sure will.
She be giving it to him. She bringing that fire. She be bringing that in.
Y'all don't even understand how much time we be having over there. We go live.
You know, I bet it
natural. What veterans need, right? They do not need the sugarcoat. They need the natural truth.
Right.
Right. They need it plain as day because all the sugarcoating and all that baby handling, they don't need that. Tell it like it is.
I bet you natural will be at the family reunion. Somebody show up their potato salad. You might as well put that back in the car.
I'd be like, who cooked this? Who cooked this?
They put some raisins in it. Oh no, you better.
Oh no. Natural, while you are here, I'm looking for John's comment about. Okay, here we go. Checking back on Natural is on. My question was: is the VA currently rating the Barry versus the McDonough cases SMC step increases?
Yes, we are. So right now it's like excuse me, I'm sorry. That's basically looking at the additional separate disabilities that are 50% or higher. So basically they have active claims that they're looking to increase anything that between the levels of L and O. And what they're doing, but it's like 90,000 cases. So
wow,
it's gonna be a while.
It's like impact. Yeah, it impacted like 90,000. So it's a potential. Doesn't mean it's going to happen. It's just it's a potential that those cases could potentially get an increase. If they do, you will get a letter. But if you don't, so the thing with these SMCs and sleep apnea just sends me to another planet when people claim, oh, I can get R. I've only granted SMCT once in my whole career. I've never granted an R. I've seen an R, but this person actually was a reservist, and he was out on a night and he was drinking, and they were in a car, and he got mad arguing with somebody who was in the car, and he jumped out of the car, and he got a severe TBI, and his son fought for him. Like, they kept denying him, and his son fought for him, and he finally got it approved, but it took like 21 years for it to get approved. And then the veteran eventually passed, but then the son became, the substitution for the claimant, and the veteran's son is still fighting. I mean, he's gonna get it, but he's still fighting it. But people think that when people sit up here and like, oh, you can go, it ain't that easy. It's not that easy just to go and claim SMCTs. Anything over, to me, anything over SMCS is hard to get.
Yeah,
you gotta be like, you have to be where you just can't do any. All you can do is just lay in a bed, basically.
Yeah.
And so I don't like when I see these people on TikTok or Instagram or even on YouTube, some of the people that put out this bad information, and we have all these claims and people coming, like these MRE claims we're getting now. And I'm like, toxic exposure to MREs and stuff like that. Yes. And people, like, they'll claim all this stuff, and then you go look in their records and they've never they did nothing. And I understand, being a veteran myself, I understand how it is when they tell you, hey, don't, especially when you get into the NCO arena, they tell you, like, if you go, you're not going to get promoted. I hear all of that. I get that. I understand. And I do take that as face value, but it isn't me that I'm just a rater, right? It's got to go to the examiner, and the examiner has to find that medical nexus, right? We can send all the evidence that we have, and we can write up a good exam request. If that evidence does not support a medical nexus, they're not going to get it. And I see so often, like, people keep submitting the same stuff over and over, and they keep getting denied. And I'm glad that you guys have the channels where we can come and explain to them, like, this is the correct way to do it. I know, trying to debunk all these, ways of people trying to file it secondary. Now that's about to be harder, because now the examiner has to say that it is a direct cause. It ain't just an approximate anymore. And the DBQs are now designed to show that the examiner has to say that the primary directly caused this. Mm-hmm. And since that law came out, it's been
crazy, I bet.
That's the question I have for you, Dewayne. Before I get into that, there's a question I have for you. If you had the opportunity to sit down with Doug Collins, what would one thing you address about veterans and the veteran community?
One, I would ask him to stop saying his vets, because I see him in different on different platforms. He talking about my vets.
Yeah,
I'm not. You don't own me. Say the vets that I serve. The vets that I serve. That'd be the first thing. I would correct that right off the bat. Mm-hmm. Secondly, talking about, like we talked about earlier, about the management. I don't know how it is now, but back there, how do we change that mindset and stop giving out these bonuses for doing nothing? Yeah. Because they're telling, when I rated, they were like, the front office want these claims off the books. Well, tell them to come out of office. They used to rate. Pick up a claim.
Oh, no. That they say now, they'll be like, oh, we haven't rated in X amount of years. So like the M21 changed every day. Yep. So someone who rated 20 years ago is not going to be the same as now. Some of the rules still apply, but it's so much that's changing every day. What I personally don't like is when they have a coach over a bunch of RVSR that's never rated.
Never rated. Woo!
Never rated in their life. And how
Yeah.
you gonna tell me and all they're going by is what the front, oh, they don't like anything that's been on station more than 100 days. Anything over 100 days, it land in your queue one day. They're like, oh, get that out, get that out, get that out.
But here's
They
the
don't
thing.
like it.
You never rated a SMC or your coach must love you, because they used to give me those back to back, and I literally would take 2 days off after that, because it would take me a day and a half. I did a SMC R1 for Marine veteran, and then as soon as I got done with that, now I'm mentally drained. I'm barely making it through a tinnitus claim. Supervisor like, can you put that on hold and rate this other SMC? Or what? You gonna give me these? You got 10 other raters on the team. Why are you doing this? Well, you just rated it. You fresh. So if they say they haven't rated a case in, say, 20 years, and you never rated an SMC or case, you're in the same boat.
Oh, yeah.
You're in the same boat, but they'll like, go ahead and do it. Well,
Can
I get some excluded time? No, the front office don't like us doing excluded time.
Yeah.
Right, because some coaches give excluded time and some don't, which I don't get. But like me, I get called on a lot for everything. I get called on to mentor people. I get called on to, I'm like, y'all not paying me for that. But I'll do it sometime. But and then like the hard cases, they always put on, and like I hate supplemental claims. I hate them because they take so much time. But they give me all of those, and they give me a bunch of BDD claims, and they give me a lot of SMC, aid in attendance. They give me, because on our team, it's like they mix a lot of new RVSRs with a lot of seasoned.
Oh, okay.
Mhm.
And so it's like, as soon as somebody don't know what to do, they're calling me. I'm like, if you drop the claim in my, hey, can you? I almost said my name. They be like, can you look at this claim for me? If I look at it, I might as well do it, because I'm about to look at this whole entire claim and tell you what to do with it. I just took 45 minutes to review your claim, and you want me to look at it. I get hit with hearings all the time. All of that. And then it's like you will have a coach that was a VSR, and then they were a VSR coach, and then they'll just switch them to an RVSR. And then you be like, Coach, do you know, can you help with that? I don't know what to do. Then why are you a RVSR coach? You do not need to be in the RVSR arena if you've never, ever. See, I never was a VSR. I came straight in as a rater.
Me either. I came straight in as a rater. Yep.
And that is like the hardest thing to do, in my opinion. It is the hardest thing to do when you're learning that job, in my opinion.
Yeah.
But over time, you learn to do it. But the people that sit in these chairs, and they're like, oh yeah, and my director is terrible. Oh yeah, we can knock out 100,000 this year. What?
That's what he says every chance he gets.
Like up in Philadelphia, Philadelphia can knock him out like that.
Yeah. And while we're talking about everything, Dewayne, what are your thoughts now on the changes to secondary claims? And do you think that it closes the door more on the advantage for veterans to be rated? Or do you feel like it is a step in the right direction where things become a lot more less uncomplicated?
Well, in my opinion, I think they made it harder. But when I did a video on it, I was talking about baseline.
Yes. I saw you.
Baseline, baseline has always been around. Now, I only rated a handful of cases where I had to take baseline into consideration. So a lot of people were doing videos, and they're like, oh man, this is going to make it really hard, which I think it is. But then when you look at it, you have to, and I gave some examples at the end. I'm like, what can you use to your advantage when you're claiming something secondary and you're trying to establish a baseline. I think that's where a lot of people drop the ball and they just like, oh, they made it harder, and and go down this rabbit hole, all these videos, instead of saying, hey, what can I take that was added and use it to my advantage? Yeah, they made it a little bit harder, but now you're going to have to get that evidence. You're going to have to, if you get a private examiner, share with them like, hey, when I got out of the military on my separation exam, I had a left knee condition. The right knee was okay. And a lot of veterans, they don't know when it comes to a paired organ, paired extremity, paired joint, they have to evaluate that other joint. So when you did that C&P exam maybe 10 years ago for the left knee, you have that, and the right knee shows, hey, you had full range of motion. There was no pain, nothing, but now you have an abnormal gait and you've been getting treatment along the way. And now you show you having a right knee. Okay. So that's something that you can use to your advantage. So when they make these changes, and it took me a while because I was traveling, I had to go home for a funeral.
Mhm.
But when I was traveling, I was looking at it and I was like, man, when I got back, I was looking at it. So I was late to the game of posting a video, but I wanted to understand what that change was. And guess what? Whenever you see a manual reference and they give you some examples, how can you use that in your favor?
Yeah.
A lot of people don't even go into.
They don't read it. And one of the biggest things I get so irritated with veterans about is the lack of research. And this is why claim sharks make so much money, because the moment they see something or it grasps their attention, I talked about this the other day in one of my videos, the moment that somebody says, well, I can help you, I can get you this or whatever the case may be, because the veteran don't want to be burdened with the load of doing it. They would rather go pay somebody to do it, and then they pay them to do it and they don't do the job, and then they're left empty-handed, right? All you need to do, and I say it and I continue to say it, set a timer for 10 minutes and work on your claim 10 minutes 3 times a week. You will be successful.
And I approach it, we talked earlier, I approach it from the educational standpoint.
Yeah.
And I've given classes on what's the difference between a notification letter and a rating decision. Because I was asking people, well, read to me what's in the rating. And they're clearly reading the notification letter. In my first book, I give them an example of the first page of a notification letter and a rating decision. You have to know this stuff. You have to.
The only thing they read on that rating decision is they know that, and they deny it. Deny it. They don't. They stop at the word deny, and then they're filing supplementals. When I deny something, I give all kind of clues.
They don't read it. They don't read it. That's why I say you don't have to have all this access to VBMS, because that denial, it gives you so much information, but they don't read it.
Not all of them. Not all. Some raters are cookie cutter. Some raters are they just use plain text, and I'll read a narrative from I'll be like, I'm like, what is their post VSRs doing? Because they should have sent this, So and here's the thing, and I'm sure Mr. Kimble has seen it. Like you were talking earlier, you would look at something and see it one way, and then they would give it to another rater, and they would find, they would look at it, but you can't be in the mind of that other rater. So a lot of raters, they don't put notes in VBMS. So you got to go back and research it all over to figure out, like, why did they put this deferral in? I call it following the yellow brick road. Most raters top sheet. They just look at the last rating. And when in fact you have to go back and look at each rating that's already have been done, because sometimes something that was granted shouldn't have been. Sometimes it's a CUE. And sometimes, and let me just say, CUEs, I don't like doing them, but I will do them, because, and the thing I don't like is when I gotta sever something. It just bothers me to the fact that now you're taking something from a vet. You don't know their financial situation, but I'm taking it from them. it's been many a days where I've had to take a vet from 100 to nothing. Because one thing, they shouldn't have had it in the first place.
Wow.
And two, it's like the private DBQ that they rated off of, it was missing an NPI number. Or the examiner didn't even sign it.
Wow.
You know, so how can you, you know, that and that's on the rater. That's not on the vet. Well, it kind of is, because the vet should have read it.
Yeah.
And so it's a lot of things that, you know, it's got to be some type of, I feel like the educational process of raters, especially new raters, has to get better. And that's what I see where the regional offices are failing. These new raters, they come off a second signature. Some of them are not ready to come off a second signature, and they're rating these hard cases. And they don't even understand the M21 themselves, because the M21 to me is due to, you know, like interpretation. Your interpretation of that and mine could be different. We can agree to disagree. You know what I mean? But if I have the law to back up what I'm doing, I'm gonna be like per something, you know, this. I put that in my narrative to back up. But for me, I look at all ways to try to, you know, connect the person before I deny. All raters aren't me. They're not gonna do that. All raters are not going to take their time to go. So when I get a MO back and I read it, and then the examiner's like, oh, STR silent for blah 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 blah, I'll be like, okay, let me go see. I'll go look, and you'll see it all in there, right? And I'll be like, what? He or she could not have went and looked, right?
Remember I said earlier, it's in there, but that doesn't mean they go look.
Exactly. And I heard you guys talking about the accredited, the VSOs and stuff like that. Let me tell you something. The amount of pressure they put on raters to rate daily, the production we have, and what we have to, some raters are not going to spend that amount of time looking through the STRs. They're going to rate, and that's what it's going to be.
Yep.
You know, when I rated, we had to first start rating, we had the paper files, and we had to print out the rating on a blue sheet.
Wow.
Guess who else had to sign that?
The AVSM?
The POA. Saying that they
reviewed it. Had to sign it too?
Yes.
Oh, wow.
And even when they got in the VBMS, they had a function in there which said that they read it and agreed with it. They stopped doing that because guess what? The big accredited organizations agree with the VA. Was like, this is taking us too long to get it to the veteran. Well, they had 48 hours. Wow. They need to bring that back. Let them do some work. Yeah, they can sign out, they can look through it, but the veterans don't know that the accredited organizations agree, say, yeah, remove that.
Remove it. Yep.
There's background things that's happening behind the scenes that veterans don't see that's occurring when it comes to like VSOs communicating and agents communicating. They don't see that. Okay. We got some questions here. Go ahead.
I was going to say real quick, like Natural said, if we had a case in St. Pete, this is 2 volumes, which is about the average. It was 20 volumes. They had to push it around. That's when the regional offices, like my digit in Florida was 08. So if your social security number ended in 08, I possibly
you would go to that location.
Touch that claim.
Wow.
Now they rate everywhere all over, right? Yeah. Whenever the warehouse lady, she was a CA, claims assistant, pushed that around, it was like cutting the light on and roaches scattering.
Wow.
Nobody want their claim. Now I'm gonna tell you, your claim landed on my desk and you went and found 10,000 people. You know how you go to Walmart or Office Depot and you buy that paper, copy of paper, and it comes in that box.
Wow.
They would send stuff in. I'll tell you right now, I'm not looking at that. I'm finding something in that case that I need to defer because now I'm not going to meet my production quota. You're putting me behind, and then they can fire me.
And this is why I talk about going in your records and pulling out the things that is going to be very productive towards making your claim and helping the rater, right? One of the things that I did with my own VA claim was I went and highlighted everything, tabbed it, put a note on it, page 1, page 2, and I put a little note in there for the rater. If you look at this page right here, this is what happened, what date it is. You have to be able to assist the rater. Veterans are too lazy. And here in my space, I tell you what you want, not what you want to hear, what you need to hear.
What you need to hear,
right?
right?
Because I want us not to get so comfortable. If you have not been paying attention to the committee hearings and all these different things that are taking place, this thing is becoming so much more complicated for us that it's going out. It's literally, we're going to be flying out the window. Now,
Right.
Dewayne, before we get into this question, as you know, summer is coming. When they talk about the sleep apnea, which Natural hates to talk about, the mental health changes along with the tinnitus. What are your thoughts? What would you tell veterans right now if they're getting ready to prepare to file these claims? What should they be doing in order to beat the whole change that's getting ready to take place?
Well, these changes, I think I did a video about 4 years ago, and people say, "Oh, it's going to happen this year. It's going to happen this year." Intent to file, start getting that treatment documentation, getting it diagnosed. If you're going in for mental, maybe you meet with somebody weekly, bi-weekly, monthly, or whatever. Start building that paper trail and get your claim in. Don't, what are you dragging your feet for? And understand the criteria, like for, mental.
Yeah.
0, 10, 30, 50, 70, 100%. Understand that criteria. Where do you fall?
Yes.
Your evidence should, like Natural said earlier, your evidence should support that. Don't put that rater in a position to say no. You have to be educated. So, for example, I tell veterans, I went to the C&P exam. But did you confirm what you were showing up for? No. Don't you know I've reduced cases because a veteran went to a PTSD exam, didn't have a routine future exam, didn't even claim anything. But that percentage has been in effect less than 5 years. He claimed tinnitus. He goes to the C&P exam. It shows improvement. Now I got to do a proposal to reduce and send you back for that tinnitus.
Yeah.
So it's little things like that you need to be educated on, because I'm not showing up for an exam if I don't have a routine future exam.
Mhm.
I didn't claim anything secondary or anything with it. Why am I going to that exam? I'm not going. And if you don't know what the criteria, you claim something, every veteran should know what a diagnostic code is. They should know what the diagnostic code criteria is for the percentage they feel they should be, and that evidence should match it.
Research.
Put that
Well-
VA employee in a position to be successful to move that claim to the next stage or Service Connect. But I'm sorry, but as it pertains to your question, that's what they got to do.
Mhm.
I wouldn't be so worried about when they're going to do it because they proposed it 4 years ago.
Yeah.
I did a video back in 2024, intent to file. Do what you can do right now. Hopefully you get service connected and you get grandfathered, because very seldom will they say, oh, we're going to go back and look at all those. They may say from this date moving forward.
Move forward.
Right.
Mhm.
But you already service connected for it, so you don't have to worry about it. But if you're just sitting around on YouTube and, oh, let me go see what this person said. Oh, well, this person said this. And you're not putting that work into getting your claim, submitted so the VA employee can adjudicate it, then that's on you, the veteran.
Thank you for that.
I
we
would
have
say,
some- Go ahead,
I'm sorry,
Natural.
HerVetVoice. So when let's use mental for an example. If you look at the rating criteria for what each one is, I don't ever look at 10 because it's rare that I grant a 10. It happens, but it's rare. But if you looked at the criteria and then you go to the C&P exam, this is what I say. Some veterans talk way too much at the exams. They talk themselves right out of getting service connected. And then if they because some examiners will write exactly what they say. I had an exam where the examiner said the veteran pulled up the rating criteria for 100% and was saying, this is what he got, this is what he got, this is what, and the examiner was like, he couldn't adequately, assess the veteran because the veteran was reading from, the rating schedule. My thing is, you can read the rating schedule and get the criteria. The evidence still has to support that percentage, right? Because some veterans are putting examiners in these positions to say, like I tell veterans, and I'm sure you told them too, Mr. Kimble, people don't believe that people watch them come into the exam.
I did a video on that.
You just
yes. Did you? I had to check it out because
he did.
I had an examiner say, I watched the veteran get out of his truck, go to the back of his truck, and lift the wheelchair out the back of the truck, put on the knee brace, the back brace, sit down in the wheelchair, and took a cane and walk, like move the wheelchair in. And then when he got in there, the veteran was like, "Oh, I can't lift my knee. I can't bend my back." The examiner was like, "I watched the veteran get out of the truck." He wrote all of that. And that's also I tell people, like, you guys think that you're smarter than the people that are about to evaluate you. If you're gonna do that, already have your stuff together so nobody can't discredit you. You know what I mean?
Park on the side of the building that's what I did, where there's no windows. And I scaled the building. I was like this. I was like, because I was rating and I see exactly what natural was taught. I saw that. And I was in a van pool and I'm the only rater. So everybody in the van pool, guess what? They go to release of information office to get their C&P exam. They want me to look at it on the way home. Now I'm already stressed out because I'm like, been rating all day, right? But I've seen that. And for the females, do not take your Louis Vuitton purse to the exam with you if you're
claiming.
Stop it.
Don't go in there in some high heels talking about you can't bend over and your back hurts, you can't work. You went in here in some 6-inch stilettos. Stop. It'd be like, and then they'd be like, "Oh, the VA just denied me."
C&P exam.
They don't understand. I keep saying it. I keep saying it. If you go in there looking your best, I had a client the other day when she went in there and she was talking, and the C&P examiner said to her, "Well, you look well put together. You're looking good. You went and got your hair done yesterday. Your nails are done. They're colored. Your feet look like you just had a pedicure." I mean, she just ran it all the way down to the bottom.
But I rated a case one time, and a veteran did that. Had heels on, makeup on, claiming PTSD, military sexual trauma.
Wow.
And guess what she told that examiner? This is how I get through my day. I was sexually assaulted, and I just feel like men don't date me. People don't see me. And I was like,
I totally understand.
But some cases, if you don't have nothing like that, or you coming in there with a back condition and and you don't have anything going on like that. I rated a case one time. I don't want to dwell on this too much. But I think I just gave this veteran, I granted it just because of what he did. I was like, if you so bold to do that. He was a mail carrier. He was claiming PTSD. He was a Vietnam vet. And he said he started delivering mail with camo on his face.
Wow.
And I didn't believe it. Supervisor wrote a note. So mail carriers, I guess the supervisors sit at the end and watch them sometimes to evaluate them. And the supervisor wrote the note.
Wow.
I was like, you that bold? And he had the evidence to back it up. But I was like, man.
Wow. He ready for war, delivering mail.
He was.
I like he was like the Arnold Schwarzenegger in the Predator. He put that stuff on his face. I said,
all right, let's try to run through a few questions here. Rated for the back in the Navy at 22, now 33, at 92% for spine, neck, and back. I found out I have congenital narrowing spine canal. Never knew. Will this hurt my benefit in the future for TDIU soon for me?
I'll let Natural go first on that.
Well, are you already? Or did you? Let me see. Did you already file for IU? Are you already with IU, or are you planning to file IU? That's first.
Right.
If you can ask that, because depending on what you say is how I will answer the question.
Right.
All right, we'll wait for you to answer, but we'll keep going down the line. If the VA received my claim and finds something in my record that is in my claim, but I did not list on my initial claim, will they add it?
No. We don't look for stuff that, guys, listen. Let me
Go and give it to him.
This response.
Go and give it to her. I know what she's about to say because I want to say the same thing, but I'll let her do the birdie back. I'll let her go ahead and say what I want to say.
This person said, no, sir. They're not trying to hand out more money.
listen. We don't add no more to our plate than we already have.
Correct.
Now, sometimes when you guys write late statements on your 526s, if y'all claiming a condition and you'll say something like, oh, due to this, my like if you're claiming a knee condition and you're like, oh, my knee condition causes me restless nights, I'm getting insomnia, I can't sleep, or my back is hurting from that, is a claim without you even knowing it. So that, yes, we have to take that as a claim, and we will put it in that. And even if you don't intend to give us that as a claim, if you say that because you're saying this condition is aggravating this condition and causing this condition, so we will do that. But you think that we got time to go in here and look, oh, you know what? Let me go through 4,000 pages and pick out everything that this veteran did not claim and add it on there. No. We're not going to do that.
Have you ever received a claim, Natural, where the veteran said, I don't know what to claim. You look through my records.
Yes.
And pick out. I was like,
and I will, and you know what I do? I defer right back to the VSR and say, hey, contact this veteran and ask them what is it that they need to claim. Because unfortunately, like the older vets, like the Vietnam vets, they pretty much didn't go to the doctor. A lot of their stuff is just like 32 pages, Me personally, I probably couldn't have worked for the RO when y'all had paper documents, because I came from VHA side and I was a supervisor over the release of information. And I know exactly what you mean about them paper, because the VA used to have paper folders before they went to the electronic system. And so when veterans came in and they were like, oh, I want all my records, we have to recall all them volumes of records from the RMC and copy all that stuff. Boy, I used to be hot. I used to be like, what you gonna do with all this?
And two people being there in the release of information office, or one person.
Man. And so, like, go ahead with the questions.
This one is a note for Dewayne. Your slogan is spot on. Veterans, stay vigilant and do the work to get your docs in order and utilize the right resources and tools to get the proper diagnosis and disability. 10 years and I'm almost. The question is, what do you do when the Air Force loses your medical records and they can't find it?
So
Natural, do they still, and see, a lot of it, again, they don't read those correspondences. So if the VBA told you they lost them, they also tell you what your options are. So Natural, do they still do that?
Yes. So once the National Personnel Record Center send us and say they have exhausted all, it's futile, we're not gonna find it, we'll send that. And then sometimes, like, the big fire that they had, sometimes some of the records was destroyed in that. So a lot of times what the ROs will do, they'll, in favor of the vet, they will, give an exam, just to be, because it's technically not the veteran's fault that we can't find the records. But we'll ask them, if you have any, records, because when I was in, I used to carry mine around with me. I never turned mine back in. I used to carry my medical records with me. I kept them with me. I never, because the military is like that. They will lose your stuff, and you have no way of proving it. Just like when we deployed the first couple of times, when the war first started, we didn't have no doctors over there, and people were getting hurt left and right. People were getting sick. We didn't have any way to prove that, oh, I fell off a truck, unless you was tragically hurt, there's, stuff like that. But like, I would say, for me, what I'm starting to see now is a lot of veterans are claiming MST. I don't know if somebody just sent out a email to every veteran in the world and said, claim MST, you're going to get. Now, when an MST first, I did used to see that granted a lot without nothing. If a veteran said it, they would get it. Now they're going on these markers, right?
Yes.
They're going on these markers, and we have to now go in and look at, okay, here's their evaluation from this period. They said it happened here. Now let me go see if there was a change in their behavior. It's a lot of people don't understand. They think we just look at stuff and deny it. It's a lot of stuff we look at. And Mr. Kimble can attest to it. It ain't just you get a claim in your queue, you got the DBQs, and you're just rating. It is not that.
Yeah.
We said that earlier. Research is definitely required, right? Hey, Thomas. Okay. Why do droves not rate instead of sending it back as a supplemental?
Here's the thing. There's hundreds of raters. There's hundreds of droves. So when we say, why do droves, we can't say all droves do that. We can't say all raters do that. We have to look at what happened in that particular case. And like Natural said, sometimes people disagree. So, you could have got a particular drove that did something that another drove wouldn't do. But again, it could be in the evidence. So that's, we could talk hypotheticals all night, but it would have to be.
Sometimes droves do. Sometimes droves do if they have the evidence, but a lot of times they send it back because you need the medical opinion. So you don't want them to make the decision without the evidence. So if you claim something secondary and say they didn't order a secondary, or they did order a secondary, but the rationale was insufficient, right? It had no medical literature to back up what the examiner was saying. So the drove will send it back to whatever RO and say, hey, request either a TERA medical opinion or a secondary medical opinion or review of SCRs we found, blah, blah, blah. Request, which medical, whatever medical opinion you need, right? Now, if the drove has everything, they can overturn a decision.
Yes.
They can overturn. If they have all, they will do a rating decision. So not all of them send them back.
I think this is for you, Dewayne. How can they get connected with you for services or pointed to an organization if you're not currently taking clients?
One thing I do every month, I do a webinar, and in that webinar, I explain to people exactly what it is I do and what I don't do. Okay. So it's a lot of things that I used to do that I just don't do anymore. And in that webinar, I explain how you can work with me, because for me to sit here and explain it, it'll just take too long. So the webinar is free. Go to my website, www.kmd89.com. Sign up, and I explain exactly what it is I do, don't do, and how you can work with me.
Thank you for that. Denied hearing loss and tinnitus. Examiner said I have disability, but denied due to length of time. Since I retired and no in-service documentation, got a copy of my SDR and found documentation of both. This is a prime example of what we spoke about earlier. Going through your medical records yourself and pulling it out and bringing it to the attention of the rater.
Yeah. The first error.
Go ahead, Mr.
The first error I got was because I denied tinnitus when there was treatment in service. When the veteran has treatment or complaint, or even a diagnosis of tinnitus in service, the VSR or RVSR still has the requested exam, but there's no medical opinion needed. And I did a video on that, and it states that in the M21-1. So again, this is where this education comes in. You got to know what you're claiming, how you're claiming on different ways of service connection, what are the requirements, right? And so if it is denied, then when you go to a high level review, I'm telling the Dro, hey, this is what I did. Per this regulation, it states that this should have been done. I got a copy of my claims folder. It was not done. And this is the conclusion that I would like to see based on this particular regulation. So, one, what was the rationale? If you had a C&P exam, what was the rationale for the negative opinion? I always put the doctor's negative rationale in my rating decision because I wanted that veteran to know it wasn't me that said no. And I'm giving you a nugget.
Yep.
You don't have to wait on that C&P exam
Go ahead.
to see why the examiner said no. I gave it to you in the narrative of the rating decision. Just got to read it.
I do the same thing. So let me on hearing loss and tinnitus. Typically, hearing loss and tinnitus is when veterans send that claim in, it's sent automatically for what we say military noise exposure, right? So if you were like, say, an infantry person or a combat member, something where your MOS had some of these people that come in and they be like, oh, I was logistics. Your probability of noise exposure is low, but we still send it, right? So you could have hearing loss, but it's not for VA purposes.
To the level.
The level of VA purposes, right? That's where people get the disconnect. You can have hearing loss, but it, according to the Maryland and all the, things that they do, when you go see this audiologist, they will determine, yes, we have conceded military noise. However, the veteran does not meet hearing loss for VA purposes. And what I do, I will put the hearing thing in there and I'll say at 500, 1,000, 2,000, 3,000, this was your megahertz. This was what your baseline is, right? So if a veteran if I go see and a veteran is having, they have hearing aids, but the hearing loss doesn't start until it gets to like the 6,000 range. For VA purposes, we don't look at the 6,000 range. Right. So that's why it'll be denied. And most of the time, if it is service connected, it's going to be a 0. And then they'll grant tinnitus. Or if they say tinnitus is a symptom of the hearing loss, if the hearing loss is not service connected, we can't grant the tinnitus because they're saying it's a symptom of your hearing loss. So if your primary is not service connected, we cannot grant your secondary, your tinnitus. If they say it's due to military noise, then we'll grant the 10% for tinnitus. So it just depends on your level of hearing loss. Even if you had something. Now, some veterans came in service with hearing loss. And if you found that, then what they should have done is ask for an aggravation.
Yep. Well, here is Dewayne's link to his boot camp. You can find it in the comments, or you can also go over to his channel and go into his description, and you can also get the link from there. Know that this is a free boot camp, and you guys can sign up at any time. Go ahead and sign up so he can tell you in detail exactly what you can expect from the boot camp. Okay. We have a great comment here for you, Dewayne. I just finished 100% P&T after being out 26 years. I thank him after 90%, but now I finished the race.
There you go. And people don't understand, like I was saying earlier, just because I retired don't mean the last day on the job, just like everything just left my brain. Like
still there.
I forgot, right. So like I say, the books, people read the books. I think my first book I gave out, the first 100 copies were free. They were able to win for that. And the second book, I'm filing a claim, they could follow along. Then they invest in watching the free videos, and a lot of them are reaching their goals. And I've never even talked to them on the phone.
Yeah, that's it. That's the main goal.
Yeah.
All right, I don't like the word P&T, right? And I'm Mr. Kimble. I know you've talked about this before, because a lot of people be under the misconception of, if it says, and I don't like that we use that, right? Because I feel like that's a little misleading, right? Because if you're 100%, and you come back and ask for an increase, which I don't know why people do this, but they do it, and we found that you have improved in something, we can propose to reduce. Or if something was granted in error, we have to propose to sever. So how can you definitively say you're P&T?
Terminate.
Yeah. How? So that's why I don't like that when people be like, well, I'm 100% P&T. Okay, we'll come back and see.
I had a client that did that. He poked the bear.
Yeah.
He won. I tell people, if you decide to do that, just know what you're doing and what the ramifications can be, and understand. Get your rating code sheet so you can figure out how long that percentage has been in effect. Because if it's been in effect less than 5 years, it shows improvement. And that's what you said earlier. Look through those documents. I've seen veterans file for a back condition, and they're going to see the same doctor for something else, and they submit all those evidence. Now you just gave us proof that that other condition that we're not even touching has improved just because you didn't want to look through the records. And that grader,
exactly.
I looked through it, it'd be like 10 pages or something. I looked through it, I'm like, well, and I got to do it because if I don't, it gets pulled for a quality review. Now I'm going to get an error. That's going to lower my my quality,
your accuracy level.
Yep, all that. Now I'm stressed out. Now rushing, and when you rush, you might miss something down the road.
All right, so I got a question in here for you, Dewayne. What are the types of claims you think that women should pay more attention to while they are filing disability claims?
Anything I think that could fall under one, mental, especially if it's dealing with military sexual trauma, and the genitalia, body system.
Okay.
I read a lot of where females had hysterectomies on active duty. A lot of those, especially some veterans don't even know about, female veterans know about the SMC-K for FSADs, female sexual arousal disorder. I did a video on that, didn't get a lot of views, but I'm like, people, I'm giving you the nuggets.
So what I realized here on the on YouTube, when it comes to the women veteran community, they are not present here, right? We recently did a live about the 6 different things that women should claim, and the video did not get a lot of views. And I want the women veteran community to know and understand that there are so many things that they do not claim that they should be claiming, okay? When we talk about breast cancer and the residuals from that, we talk about the hysterectomy, right? We talk about FSAD. We talk about the stuff that you experience, PCOS, all the different things that comes along with it, endometriosis, all those type of things. Women need to be able to put forth the effort into doing the research to file in the claims. Too often, women leave a lot of stuff on the table. And before we go into something else, I see a lot of women who are so much more dedicated to making sure that their spouse's claims are taken care of, and they put themselves on the back burner, right? When I see or I have a client that way, I'm like, well, what about you? I am here to bring light to the woman's space. I don't know if you've looked at the stats of the amount of women that receive 100% compared to the amount of men that are at 100%. The number is different. The men are in the millions. The women are only in 200,000.
Wow, I can't put my finger on that or why that is, but I think you pointed out something where if you have a couple and both of them are veterans, even now when I work with people, I see where the female veteran is like, I'm helping my husband.
Yeah.
Or the male veteran is like, well, yeah, I've gotten mine, but I'm now helping my vet. And I'm like, well, why you all just didn't do it together? Maybe work professionals.
It could be a little bit too much for them to handle, but I want the women veteran community to come here to this space and understand that they deserve to be here as much as men are here. They are seen, they are heard, they are understood, and what they're experiencing is real, right? I don't want it to be something that, I know when it comes to MST, it is something hard to rehash and to talk about, but it's not only MST. There's so many other different things that women really need to focus on when it comes to their body parts, and they need to step out to the forefront and let it be known that, hey, now that the VA has opened up the doors for women to get gynecological care, without a referral and without these other things, they are opening up the doors. But I think the more we sound the alarm, the more we would be able to see much more things happening in the veteran community when it comes to women.
Right. My wife's a vet, and when we first started dating, I was like, "What? What?
You
What?
can tell.
What?" Every time we went out on dates, she started asking me questions. I'm like, "All right, look, we're gonna have to spend the day, and we're gonna have a tough talk, and we gonna, yeah." And I was right at the time.
Yeah.
I'm like, "Look," but I'm like, and I was like, "What do you do? What do you? Well, what?" And so, and she got tired of people asking me questions, and she was
Mhm.
like, "Well, I know you stressed out at work, and I just didn't want to." I'm like, "No, no, not a problem. Let's get it done." And she she got it done. But yeah,
So what I've been doing is creating a space on Zoom for women to just come on a Zoom hearing where we can just sit down. They have their VA website pulled up. If they want to file their claim, if they want to ask questions, they can ask the questions in the comfortability space of other women. Or if they want to have a one-on-one, we can also, talk about that. But I want it to be a free-flowing environment for women to come and have the uncomfortable conversation so they can get to the point where they need to.
I think since you have a small channel,
Mhm.
and I was like this when I first started, like because people were like, who is this guy, right? Um, if you make some creators, and especially like on LinkedIn,
Yeah.
where these female Facebook, create a female Facebook group,
Mhm.
start putting those creatives in there
Yeah.
and driving,
Yes.
driving those individuals to that Zoom meeting. I think that'll, eventually you'll get more people. Because I think my first live I did like 5 years ago. I had like 7 people on there, and I knew 3 of them. They just showed it because they knew me, right?
Yeah.
But now I think, I've done live streams with individuals. I did one earlier today.
I saw that. The house
And
one. Yeah. That was
we a couple of
amazing.
years ago, we went live for 12 hours
Wow.
on YouTube. 12, and there was a
Wow.
lot of planning. We
Yeah.
had with our teams, and we were all
Yeah.
collaborating behind the scenes because it took a lot of planning, and we were bringing people on live, so they had to sign waivers. Because I'm like, if I blow up like Kim Kardashian, I don't want you to come to me,
And get,
hey,
and get
if you
all,
blow up like Kim Kardashian, can you break me off? Like, something
yeah.
like that. But,
Yeah.
we making sure we did the right way. We want, because it had never been done before. And
Yeah.
normally when we do these lives, we're not going to get through all the questions.
Yeah.
And
And
that
even
day,
in my small lives, sometimes I don't get through all the questions.
right.
Yeah.
So I think if you did, and I did free town halls, and I started promoting it, and it went
Mhm.
from 5 people, uh, and I started getting up to like 100 people. Those were free events, 100
Yeah.
people, and so I just started promoting it, and when I promoted it, people, they showed up. So I think if you do
I'll work
that,
on that as well. Yeah,
yeah,
for the summer, for one in June or July, so that way it gives us time to, talk about it and put it together. But I
yeah,
really want women to feel comfortable in a space where knowing that they're seen, they're heard, and they should be getting the disability compensation that they deserve.
yeah.
All right, let's see. I know you can't second guess someone else's process, but why would a major attorney firm request an HLR on a previously denied sleep apnea claim where the C&P examiner did an extensive reason for denial? Oh, wow.
Because the attorney wants to get paid.
I,
I knew she
hey, Bernie Mac. When you hear me say Bernie Mac, that means I agree with it. She said what I wanted to say.
Yes, the
And
attorney wants to get paid.
right. And so
So
that's I'm sorry, go ahead, Natural.
oh no, go ahead.
I was gonna say I did a video about fee agreements, and I think it upset some people. But what I was talking about is I've seen when I rate it, I've seen attorneys, I'm like, well, why didn't they just do a supplemental? Why did they do the HLR? Or you got 12 months from the date of notification.
notification.
They would put it in like the week before it was to expire. And they could have put it in a week after the veteran filed a claim, because some cases it wasn't a lot of evidence, it wasn't a lot of research needed.
Yeah.
And that happens, but a lot of people don't talk about it. And I'm just saying, like, hey, just know that these things go on. You can turn around and do it yourself.
Yeah.
But if you win, that attorney fee coordinator is still going to pay that attorney 20%, even though you did all the work. So before you sign up for a fee agreement, I did a video on this, understand what that means.
Yes.
Understand what it means. And then I've seen what we said it earlier. Attorney or claims agent say, well, I don't want the 20%. We got a separate agreement outside. That means they charging the vet a 33 and a third percent. And that's, the VA is like, they're okay with that, right? So also veterans will make the mistake. They will sign the 21-22 alpha and the fee agreement. They'll revoke the POA. The POA has to send in a letter saying that they'll say, I agree, remove me as the veteran's representative, but I do not forego any future fees. Meaning,
there you go.
And they don't understand. I'm like, you have to understand
that. Forego any future fees.
Now, what I would be putting in that fee agreement, hey, if you don't do any work, you ain't getting paid. You don't call me back, put a statement in there stating that you will forego your fees. And then that 20% will be tied up for next 10 years because, I think it's OIG. I don't know if it's OIG that does those appeals now to figure that out.
Yeah.
Who gets that 20%? Some vets, they'll revoke one lawyer, get another lawyer. And now it's like,
well, both, because
both
get paid.
They don't read. They do not read the agreements at all. I had one client, he was honest. He said, I just gave him the $8,000. I never read anything.
But the thing of it is, why aren't more people talking about this particular topic on YouTube? We talk about accreditation all the time, but we're not talking about with these fee agreements, look, and I want to be clear, it's not everyone that's accredited. It's not everyone.
It's specific ones. Yeah.
We're just specifically saying, read, ask questions, and understand before you start signing anything.
Right. Because just because you fire someone, if they were on record at the time and the VA grants you that attorney, regardless if you fired them, they are still entitled to a percentage.
Yep. They are. All right. J-Rock said, I was denied multiple times for tinnitus. Last attempt was an HLR. I have all the elements: medical, nexus, a current diagnosis, and past treatments. Am I out of options? And what would you do?
What's the reason for the denial? Y'all, let me say this.
Birdie Mac.
Y'all be asking these questions, right? We don't have.
She give it to him.
Nothing in
what
front
was
of
you
us.
Denied for? Yeah.
Yeah, y'all asked us these questions like we can go against, like we don't know. We don't know. You're saying you have all the evidence. Obviously, you're missing the nexus. So you don't have all of the elements. That's one. So they probably asked, was your hearing or your tinnitus due to military noise exposure? They said no, obviously, because you was denied, right? And even if you came back for, I don't know, a secondary
or an aircraft handler on the flight deck and the aircraft carrier.
So they did it to military noise, right? And so for whatever reason, they denied it. But without seeing your narrative and all the evidence, that is a question that cannot be answered definitively, because we can, like Mr. Kimble said, we can speculate. But right now, what I know is you didn't meet the military noise. We probably conceded it because of your MOS, but the nexus is not there. The medical nexus is not there.
Right. I can't give him what to do. I can't. I just thought about it. I would get what I do, get a copy of my C&P exam and understand what's in the rationale. Why the examiner said no. I will start there.
Yeah.
Then I will watch the Nugget Man's video on how to explain how to reasonably articulate how you were exposed to acoustic trauma
Mhm.
in the military. If you're Army, I'm gonna give you a hint where you're at every Tuesday morning in the motor pool, pulling PMCS, probably not wearing hearing plugs. Okay.
Yep.
And then build
Right.
a game plan from there. But it all starts. Why did the examiner say no?
Deny.
What's that
No.
rationale? Right. What was it? That rationale? You got 365 days to submit supplemental claims. So now I know exactly why that examiner said no. So in my game plan, let me go find me an ENT specialist or something and get evidence, because now there's new and relevant evidence, and then go back in. You already watched the video. Now you can explain more in detail. And I tell veterans, stop going to these C&P exams talking about, well, let me just tell you my story.
Stop talking too much.
Beyonce already said she's going to go out with you. Why you still running your mouth? Just get the phone number and go home.
Less is more. I keep saying less is more sometimes. Less is more. Stop going in the waiting area, having a conversation with the receptionist and telling them your whole life story. Because whenever you walk out, that examiner is going to listen to what that receptionist say. They're going to talk about everything you talk about, and then they're going to go back and check the box.
Now,
even they hear you talking to other veterans in the waiting room, and they listen. The thing is, like Mr. Kimble is saying, there's always a game plan. You just have to be the captain of your ship on and steer it in your direction. But you have to go build it. If you keep sending the same evidence back over and over and over, you're going to get denied because that's not considered new and relevant. You're going to have to say, okay, let me take a break. Let me reset, like Mr. Kimble is saying. Let me go get me some new outside medical evidence. Go see an ENT. Go see a specialist that can link your tinnitus to your military. Then you got a medical next. You have another medical professional saying, yes, it is due to, go find you some peer-reviewed articles to support tinnitus to military occupational specialties. Go do those things. Write you a good lay statement. Get other people to write you some good buddy statements and submit that.
There you go.
Do your research.
Well said. Well, it looks like here, Dewayne, somebody wants you to do an updated video on attending a claims clinic and what to expect.
Oh, man, I just did one over the weekend.
First, when they list, I did a video where they were doing some claims clinics, but when I looked at them, all claim clinics are not doing the same thing. Some of them do have a point of contact. Call ahead. Hey, will you have VSRs there? Will you have raters there? Are they going to be doing this, 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 and this? It could be a clinic where you just show up and turn in paperwork. That's it. Or they could be doing more development. But before you drive 3 or 4 hours, sometimes they will have a point of contact. So I'm going to find out, hey, what are there going to be any people from VBA, Veterans Benefit Administration, under the compensation, rating specialists, VSRs, are they going to be there?
Yeah.
No, then what are you going for at that point?
Yeah, it's a waste of time.
Yeah, claims clinics are different. ATR said, should I poke the bear with a new claim? When my existing unrelated rating is at the 19-year mark, poke the bear or wait until 20?
Wait, are you 100%? And what are you poking the bear? Y'all be, let me mute myself.
Well,
y'all be.
I had a client, I think I was saying earlier, he was a Vietnam vet. He was already 100% permanent total. And he was blue water. They didn't have blue water at the time, so he filed a claim for diabetes. He got denied. He called me. He said, Dewayne, I'm 100% permanent total. They got this blue water thing. And I'm like, yeah, I have the diagnosis. He applied. They didn't look at everything else. He got service connected. That was kind of a standoff situation. But he told me, out of all his conditions, he is going to die from diabetes. Wow. His doctor told him, this is going to be the death of you, this diabetes. And he's controlling it, but that's going to be his death. So he was, in his mind, he's like, I want to be service connected for that. I'm not trying to get any more money. I know I'm not going to get any more money, but I want to make it easier for my spouse and my family to get DIC.
Wow.
That's understandable on the diabetes, and he had blue water navy, so that's considered the presumptive.
Right.
So I get that,
But
but
some
when I
of them,
see people, yeah, some of them when they be the sinusitis, rhinitis, the hearing, I mean, they will submit a claim with like 75 things on it, and I'll be like, you 100%. Why did you do this? And more often than none, something gets reduced. And so you're chasing these dollars to wind up with you getting pennies. So you just set yourself back. You were at the goal line. You kicked the touchdown, field goal, whatever. And now you come back and you're trying to keep, and I don't get it. I really don't. You can do, I always tell veterans, do what you want, but here's what I can tell you. People think just because you just make claim, like in Mr. Kimble's, he claimed diabetes. Okay, you claim diabetes, but if that rater had have looked at something and found something that was an error, that could have sabotaged that man's whole, 100%. That's the risk you take. Anytime you put a claim in, regardless if you're 100% not, every time you put in a claim, you risk losing something. Now, not always do you lose, but each time you come back and put yourself in the queue, you run the risk.
So the other day we did a live on ACE, and Dennis he said he was in the chat room weeks ago, had an ACE letter, took your advice, and was going to request to be there. Before I got a letter the next day with a decision, 100% granted with possibility of a later review. But that's amazing. Sometimes I think you guys just need to be a little bit patient, right? When it comes to the VA, there's no such thing as a rush. And sometimes you feel like you have to be there. And sometimes your presence being there your presence of not being there speaks better than you being there, because sometimes you can talk yourself.
What conditions are prohibited from an examiner doing an ACE exam?
Yeah.
Had a client one time, she claimed a mental condition. They denied it. She had an actionable and sufficient DBQ. They denied the claim based off of ACE.
Wow.
She went to the DRO. The DRO CNC'd it. Went to BVA, didn't do the travel judge, didn't go to DC, just wrote it up. And within 8 months, the judge agreed with her.
Wow.
They should have rated with the evidence of record, because the ACE exam is prohibited, and there was
prohibited for mental.
Yep, exactly. But a lot of veterans
That's why I don't like it. I don't like ACE.
I don't like ACE exams. I never like routine futures either.
So we are near close to 2.5 hours. So let's do raters send back C&P DBQs if they disagree with them? I had multiple ACEs for one claim.
Yep. It's not that we disagree. It's that we found evidence to discredit the rationale, or either the rationale was insufficient, or we just found more compelling evidence to grant if it was a denial, typically.
Yeah. I'm going to tell you, this is crazy. I granted cases when a veteran submitted a DBQ and nexus statement. I don't know if you ever had this happen to you, natural. And for whatever reason, the VSR or another rater scheduled a C&P exam. So now I have a private DBQ and nexus statement and a VA third party C&P exam nexus statement when I actually rated.
Wow.
If the veteran didn't go to the exam, I would have denied the claim based off the DBQ and nexus statement that they submitted.
Wow.
Because guess what? The private examiner gave a negative opinion, and the vet never even looked at it.
Yep,
Man.
I've had that. I've had that.
What are you doing?
And I think it's because if they pay for it, a lot of examiners just go off of what the veterans. They don't really go off of the evidence. They go off of what the veteran tells them. Right?
This examiner wrote a negative opinion.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Okay,
and that's what I've seen. Like, they don't read what they submit. They just think because I paid for it, the examiner is going to agree and give me the positive, information that I need to get my claim. And I think when they go pick up, and I think her vet said she has someone that was it like 15 or on the DBQs that they went in, or the Nexus.
Oh yeah, she went to pick up 7 DBQs and never seen a provider. Never seen them. She paid $350 for each of them and never seen the provider. And that night we were on TikTok, she was so scared, Dewayne. She messaged me behind the scenes. She did not even turn them in. She never seen the provider. She was using a law firm. She paid $350 because law firms make you pay the provider themselves separate from, what they're charging. So she actually went to the front desk. They gave her a green folder and an envelope and told her to turn it into the VA. She happened to be scrolling by our live on TikTok a few months ago, and this lady did not sleep the whole entire weekend. She just knew that OIG was going to be looking for her.
But the accredited law firm told her to do this.
Yes.
Yep.
And she paid $350 for every single DBQ.
DBQ. Yep. She came up there and told us.
Yeah. She was so, the whole weekend she did not sleep. She kept asking me, can I withdraw my claim? Please tell me I can withdraw it. Yeah, she withdrew it, but she could not sleep the whole weekend. She did not know that you have to be present and physically examined for a DBQ. She just figured that they would look at her records. But hold up, the doctor never even had her medical records, Dewayne. She didn't give permission for the doctor to have her records. So she's saying, did my attorney give them without letting me know? There were so many unanswered questions there.
But again, you don't hear people talking about.
No. And that's probably what one of our collabs need to talk about.
Yep. I got an upcoming video. DBQ chop shops.
You finna make people mad.
But I've had veterans contact me and say, Dewayne, and this was years ago. I remember this veteran from Georgia. Can you look at my Nexus statement? I'm like, where's the DBQ? What do you mean? We have a 5-minute conversation. The veteran is already service connected. When it paid $1,800 for a Nexus statement, when you're already service connected, you go service connected.
Wow.
You don't need a Nexus. It's already been established. Yes. So he calls the company back and they say, well, we did what you asked us to do. Now I'm like, why aren't they asking questions like, okay, are you filing something secondary? Or are you claiming PTSD? What is your stressor? Do you have documentation to verify your stressor? Oh, you're claiming it due to fear. But that first C&P exam, when you claim PTSD, according to them 21-1, when you claim PTSD due to fear, the first exam has to be done at a VA C&P office or a third-party contractor. So therefore, you might not want to get a DBQ. You might just want to get a physician statement saying you got a diagnosis of it, right? Something like that. So you don't have to, spend all these exorbitant fees for that. So I think, what I'm talking about in the video, these companies and the vet has to take some responsibility and going back to asking questions. And that's what I'll be talking about. And it's not all examiners out there. There are a lot that I even know that are doing things the right way. But in this case that you stated, that's horrible.
I just had the other day. He is not even eligible for benefits as of yet, right? He has a bad discharge. He has paid a claim shark company almost $10,000 now. So he reached out to me. We talked about it. I told him he was not eligible for benefits. I verified that he was not eligible for benefits. So I told him exactly what to go back and tell them. Exactly. So they was like, no, well then let us file your discharge upgrade. And then after we do that, we can go ahead. So now when I'm telling him what to say to them, they're trying to go at a different angle. So we got together, we wrote a letter, we wrote it to an attorney, got together, and he finally got his money back. But these people strung him on for 24 months. And he was not even eligible for benefits.
You were saying that last week about another that was 20,000 or something like that.
25,000 of his TSP money or his 401k. Yeah. Yeah.
Hear that a
I
lot.
meet so many veterans that give up all their TSP money, all their 401k, and go to these claim shark companies. Why? Because they see, oh, we can get you rated at 100%. They have no idea what they're getting into. And they go to the bank, they get the money, they do the transfer, they sign these statements, and then guess what happens? They get no results.
Right.
And her vets know, I always say it's not them getting you nothing. It's your evidence
It's
of
you.
record is what
Right.
gets you the percentage. They don't. I see these claim people. Oh, we can take you from 0 to 100. I'm like, they can't do nothing. All they're doing is filling out the paperwork and telling you to submit it. The same thing. If you just do your research and complete your own, you can do everything yourself. You don't need to pay people thousands of dollars. For I see people paying $1,500 to $2,000 to do a upgrade on their discharge. I'm like, what? That's free. All you got to do is, X, Y, and Z.
I got a video on
Right.
it.
You got video for everything.
Now,
I mean, I do discharge upgrades for clients all the time. And if I tell them the stuff that I need, it doesn't take me long to do it. It's the process of them getting it seen behind the scenes at the Board of Corrections. That's the lengthier process. But when it comes to filling out the paperwork and getting the medical evidence along with the nexus and the lay statements and stuff, that's hard. That's very easy, along with combat-related special compensation. I see people hiring attorneys to fill out a DD 2680 to get your stuff from the VA, your letters from the VA, your cold sheet, and you write a little statement in the form and you submit it. People are paying attorneys to do something that I do in literally 15 minutes. And then when you get the back pay, the attorney gets your back pay because guess what? You sign a fee agreement that you have no idea what you're signing. Yeah. Marissa wants to know, when is our next collaboration video happening? I was just guiding soldiers on how to use the CFR 38 with their current conditions and diagnosis. Still learning myself, but I wish I knew sooner. Well, no, we'll have to plan that.
Well, I'm sorry, Mr. Kim. This is what drives me crazy is when a soldier is still on active duty and they're paying for nexus letters. Why?
Oh, yeah. I get them all the time. I get them.
Why?
Why?
Who told you need
law
that?
firms? They pay law firms with BDD claims.
I don't even know why. BDDs is probably like when I got out, we didn't have BDD, but that is probably like the easiest claim to ever get something granted. And for the life of me, veterans get out and they don't file until years later, or they may file like a year or two later. So now you got to get medical opinions for stuff, and some of them don't even have current treatment, and that's where a lot of people drop the ball. Yeah, they happen to you in service, but you don't have any current evidence. So what you may get is a denial with a favorable finding. I don't like favorable findings because I feel like they're misleading.
I like them for one reason.
Tell us. Because that's one of my questions for you. Yeah. Why do you like or dislike favorable findings?
Well, they can be clues. They can be clues.
So, and I've done a video, and I had another rater work for me for a few years, and we did like a 2-hour thing, either live or a video talking about favorable findings. So let's say you're claiming some direct service connection. You need 3 elements: current diagnosis, a link in service, and a nexus. Let's say you do have that link in service, but you didn't have the diagnosis. You go to that C&P exam, they give you a diagnosis. Guess where they're going to put that diagnosis? In the favorable findings. Now you have 2 out of the 3. So now they can't say you don't have a diagnosis. So in that case, because when I rated, I was like, these favorable findings stuff, I didn't like them. I just, but yeah.
All right. So Dewayne, it looked like you had a couple of super stickers here.
I think that's
Pamela did me.
I think
I think these are for you. DGO and Pamela sent you some super stickers.
Well, yeah, thank you for the support. And when I left the VA, it was just because I got tired of all the bureaucracy and things that were going on behind the scenes. I'm pretty sure we could go more in depth of
Yeah.
what went on.
Yeah.
And, you know, and I tell people, I'm like little Leroy on the first 48. I'm snitching. They gave the right person the wrong information. I'm telling everybody. Now, you can become a client, but I tell people, look, they ask me a question, look, go watch my video on this, and this. If you still got questions and want to become a client, then become a client. But before then, go watch those videos. They're free.
Yeah.
Okay. Jump into a live and ask all the questions. You may not get your questions, but there's things out there that I'm doing. I'm on other platforms. Like I'm on the International Military Affairs Committee for my fraternity. Every month we got a Q&A.
Yeah.
I got over 160,000 people that follow me on YouTube. I can't get 2 people to show up for a free event from my YouTube channel.
I have a rater that comes and answer every single question. Okay. I have a rater that you know what we did? I had a live the other day where I told them to submit their denial letters to me. Okay. I had 2 raters on my channel. Didn't I, Natural? We went through the denial letters, gave them everything that they needed. Do you think they showed up? Some people did, and we went through them.
Yeah.
But we read every single denial letter. It was a 3-hour live. And we went through denials for MST, denials for tinnitus, denials for migraine. We read the denial. I didn't put the names or anything. It was PII protected, but you had some type of insight of how to read the denial letter. I have 2 raters that's on live with me, sometimes 3 days a week. Do you think they show up? Absolutely not.
That's where people have to invest in themselves.
Correct.
That's where you get the ROI, because you're spending the time, you're taking notes. I could tell you, I didn't see her in here, but it's a lady called, her name is Grace. We always tease her because she came on live one time. She was driving. I'm like, Grace, pull over, don't, you know, but she was on the live earlier today asking my guest about David Piatek. He does VA home loans, asking questions about that. Right. And that's free information. And David is like, hey, just call me if you're working with another company. I'm not trying to persuade you to come work with me, but me and my team could take a look at your documentation and see if this is a right fit for you, or they're taking an extra, you know, $5,000 or something that you shouldn't be paying for. And he was like, today, he said, we still not getting any calls. And I'm like, I had bought some property out of the country and I was doing drawing down some equity. Guess who I called? David, what you doing? Hey, I got a question. You know, to ask him, ask him about hey, this loan I'm trying to get, does it make sense? You know, am I looking at it the right way?
I do combat related special compensation. I did the whole live on how to fill out the form, what website to go to. I literally had the form up. I filled it out. I told them exactly what they need to put into it. I do more unpaid services than I do paid services.
Yeah.
We do PowerPoints. We do a lot.
Yeah, I saw that one time. I was like, look at them.
Sometimes they message me behind the scenes. We're chatting, trying to get. I do way more free services than I do paid services, because I don't do this for the financial aspect of it. I do this because this is a passion of mine.
I used to do that. I still do some free stuff, but not as I used to, because my team and I, we would put a lot of work. I did 9, I think we were doing 9 to 10 events a month on Eventbrite. And I would pull up a DBQ and I would go through the DBQ. I'm like, hey, this is what they trained me to look for. And people, they would sign up. This is the thing. I would get 60 people to sign up and 1 show up.
Yep. I did
my
Zooms. Yep.
But check this out. So I asked somebody, my business mentor, I was like, what am I doing wrong? You are devaluing your knowledge. And he say, charge $9.99. People start to show up.
Yep.
Because they gave their money.
Right. $24.99. They started showing up.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm talking about the same stuff that I would have been talking about for free. And And I don't know what it is. But if they buy a Kevin Hart ticket, they going to the Kevin Hart event.
And they spending
And
way
they
more
paying
money.
$350. They paying
Yeah.
they paying
Hey.
$350 to $1,000 for that.
Right. But they're paying probably $300 for the ticket. That ain't your high heels you're gonna get. That
That's
ain't
not your hair. That's not
all
nails, that's not your eyebrows. That's not your purse. That's not your outfit.
You got to get your car washed. So when you pull up in the parking
Not the
lot, it's clean. Your rims are clean. You know.
Yeah, I realized that. And then they want me to hurry and answer their questions. But I'm like, if you just sit down with me and do a one-on-one, I can answer every single question that you have.
Oh,
But
they don't want to do that. So it's like the amount of information and like
that I get for free.
She has 2 raters that come on here with her. And we literally, after we do the PowerPoints, we go through, because we give a lot on her channel. And people will still message her and be like, hey, can you, and then I was like, start sending them an invoice. Don't answer nothing. Just send them an invoice.
What I did. That's what I did. I still do the free stuff, try to go live a lot more. And people don't know this is work. My wife is in there sitting on the couch. I know I did a live doing a hurricane.
Oh wow.
It was a hurricane. And I'm like, hey, if I lose
power.
If I lose power, just know I'm looking. The hurricane is coming. People were like, Dewayne, and they were, they were very respectful. They were like, hey, make sure you're safe. I'm like, I got everything in. We got hurricane windows. What's going to happen? It's going to happen. So I think people, a lot of times they're very respective of that. And I tell them, I'm like, look, guys, I got to go. I'm in trouble. I'm sleeping outside tonight on the lawn furniture. So people, they'll be like, hey, tell your wife, we thank you for her sharing, so a lot of them get it, but then some people like, well, you didn't answer my question. I'm like, I've been on here, I start at 7 p.m. Eastern. I come on the first Wednesday of every month. I post a live that Monday at noon. My team post it. Put your question in there. Yeah. So if you're not able to show up, that'd be the first question I see. You can always go back and watch it later and get your answer. But if you're coming in at 7:45, I'm off at 8, so yeah.
I got 60% myself, submitted an HLR for insomnia, jumped the gun and hired a damn attorney like a fool. Don't think they had to do anything with their approval to 90%, but I had to pay them anyway. Perfect example.
Ching ching.
Attorney just made money and they absolutely what? Nothing.
Nothing, yep.
Off of an HLR.
And like we had the discussion earlier, people think just because they have that title that they're going to be
eligible.
I've gotten claims where there was a congressional from the person, congressman. I don't care. I still got to follow the regulations.
Exactly. Attorneys, congressmen, all that. So they don't scare me. I do the same thing with your claim. I'm going to do with everybody else.
Right. Your lawyer can come in here using big words like Jesse Jackson don't mean nothing.
And I'm not even at 1,000 followers. I come here 3 days a week.
Doing lives?
Yes, I go live 3 days a week.
I did 2 a month, and that was.
I'm not even at 1,000 subscribers yet.
You know why? I'm gonna be honest. You know why? I'm gonna be honest. We probably agree.
Yeah, we're gonna agree.
Because you're giving the information that is needed. You're not talking about a bunch of mumbo jump. And I talked about this before.
Yep.
I did a video. People like, Dewayne, why don't you do a video on COLA increase? Why? If you can't get to 10%, what does it matter what the 10% gonna be? And so I did the video. That video is it numbers going up. Then I turn around, I do a video, and I'm talking about, hey, when you call the 800 number, here's some questions that that you could possibly ask and possibly get some answers. And here's some questions that don't ask them what's the status of your claim. They don't rate. They're there just to answer the phone. That video might get 800 views. But if I do a video about cost of living for 2027, I might get 25, 30,000 views. But if you don't know what is the first step in the VA claims process as it pertains to identifying your conditions, where do they fall under different ways of service connection? Is it pre-service aggravation? Is it direct? Are you doing an increase? If you're doing an increase, what is the criteria for the next higher percentage? Dwayne, where do I find that? You find it in the rating because by law, they have to put it in there. Or you go get a disability breakdown letter from the 800 number. You get a 4-digit diagnostic code. By the way, I got a video on diagnostic code. And then you can Google it and it will tell you the criteria. Do it into the file, start getting treatment, make sure your evidence matches that.
Yep.
They don't, a lot of, and I don't want to say they, but a lot of veterans that we're talking about, they don't want that information. And those are the nuggets that you need. If I adjudicated my own claim and it took me 6 years and I was doing it for a living. So what that meant was another rater and natural, don't say that, hope you don't work at this RO. The worst regional office in the country is in Atlanta. I don't know if they go to that club, the famous club that starts with a blue the night before. And I'm like, why can't you all get this right? We've had the same training. What are you talking about? Right. Yeah. And as when you're sensitive 7, when you're a veteran and you're a VA employee, your claim cannot be worked at that regional office. So I was at St. Petersburg. They had one person that could log into, I don't really know if they still use this program called MapD, and they could get some information. And other than that, you had to rely on somebody in Atlanta. But Atlanta was horrible. Just horrible.
Still horrible.
And they were like, they denied my flat fee. We don't see it in your search treatment records. I'm like, man, I know I went on sick call, so I did a FOIA request. It's in there 5 or 6 times. And so you have to fight that, So what did I do? When they asked for volunteers for sensitive 7, I did it for the Columbia, South Carolina regional office. I was giving 100% away so much, they removed my access. Now I couldn't give it away just off the kindness of my heart. But those are VA employees, so they know what's needed.
Yeah.
And they said, well, Dwayne, we reduced the number of people that have access. And I'm like, so why did you all give it to a girl on the team that's notorious for denying claims?
Wow.
So
if you're doing the good deed, you're not going to reap those benefits. I even do committee hearings. We go live and go over committee hearings because a lot of veterans are only so concerned on disability claims, all about getting money. But 90,000 veterans are about to be homeless because the VAST program is no longer in effect. There's no buffer for veterans, and they're going to be homeless. These are things that they discuss in committee hearings. Nobody wants to talk about. They don't pay attention to those kind of things. Right. They want us to stay so focused on tunnel vision on disability claims, while all along on the back burner, they need $2 trillion for community care that didn't work for the past 5 years, but they need more money. Yeah. These are things that I bring to light. Yeah. Do you think they care? No.
I got ostracized by a couple of veterans because I talked about the Congressional Budget Office, the list of proposed changes that they gave. And they were talking about like, you can't get IU unless you're 60 years or something. It was a lot of stuff. And I was just saying, hey, just know that these things are being discussed. Oh, you're fear mongering. I'm like, I don't work for the CBO. I'm just, passing on the information.
Correct.
So because I think they did something and I can't remember what it was. They changed something in the process. And I'm like, they did this 2 months ago and I didn't even know about it. It just came in like a thief in the night.
They sit right there. They do it. It happens. Nobody shows up to the committee hearings. Nobody even watches it as it stream lives on YouTube. Nobody. Half of the time, I was watching it today. It was 2 people watching it with me. But then they get mad when they go look for resources and they're no longer there.
Yeah.
It is sad that we are so tunnel vision towards the financial aspect of it when behind the scenes that our children are going to be affected. The veterans that are getting out of the military next month or next year are not going to have the same advantages that we currently have.
Yep.
We have to have a voice.
I got so busy during COVID, and I had two Raiders, retired Raiders, that we all worked together. And after they retired, they came and they worked with me. And COVID, and I'm like, why did you wait? That was the main question. Why did you wait? And then it was like, hey, I got laid off, or my spouse got laid off, and now we're trying to, go through this, and and I'm like, now it's that much harder because VA is hiring, but they're training these people from home remotely, and all my training was in person, and I'm like, I don't know how I would have made it through any type of remote training, because I was hired in off the street. You came in from off the street, meaning I wasn't a VSR, just came in as a Raider. And they were like, oh, you need a master's degree. I'm like, you just need a high school diploma and some common sense and some good training,
Yeah. Somebody asked Dwayne, do you ever have you're asking me if I have a private Zoom classroom. When I shared the private Zoom, you guys didn't even show up. Yeah. And I'm not going to go out of my way to continue to do it when I'm just going to be wasting my time. So I can do a private Zoom. I can sit down. We can all fill out your stuff, and then we can talk about it. You can put your own claim in. You don't have to pay any claim sharks. You don't have to pay anybody. When you get your back pay, it is totally all yours.
No pay.
And veterans will still not show up. When it comes to MST, I did a Zoom where I walked through MST, the stressors, what you need, how. You think women showed up? No, but then they emailed me, please, somebody told me that you are specialized in MST. Can you please help me? Nope.
Like Natural said, send an invoice.
This is my thing. If I was a vet and I came upon a channel that had Raiders, ex-Raiders, and people that do, know this, I would tune in. Because if I was struggling with my case, trying to get myself, but we watch it so often, they come over and we'll tell them something, then you'll see them on someone else's, and they'll ask the same question because we didn't give them
what they want to hear.
They wanted to hear. And then they take the other advice and get denied. And then they'll come back and say, I got denied. You guys got it. And I'm just like, you're going to take the advice of a person that's just a veteran themselves, that just because it worked for them doesn't mean it's going to work for you. You got people who actually do this job day in and day out, and they're telling you we're dropping knowledgeable nuggets. Like, that's the only reason I come on here, because I get tired of seeing veterans getting denied. I get tired of scrolling and I see all this crazy information out here. And the crazy part, Mr. Kimble made a point. You're not giving out garbage. That's why they're not tuning in, because I'll go on TikTok or YouTube and I'm looking, and they be up here saying all this stuff, and I don't say nothing. I just be in there and I'll be like, that's not right. You know what I'm saying? But they have thousands of veterans on there, 300, 400 veterans on there, and they're just, and I'm like, why are they telling all this garbage about? And then as soon as you say something, they go off on you. Don't be coming in here saying. I'll be like,
can I get an expedited consultation session? Because my intent to file is running out in 2 days. No.
Well, you've been doing the other 360
You've been around here talking to everybody else instead of focusing. No, absolutely not. So that's why I say when it comes to my consultations, I pick and choose.
I get Dwayne, I filed an actionable and sufficient nexus statement, refused the exam. And I'm like, what was the claim? It was for a back. But what about the DBQ? Well, I had a nexus with a range of motion. The initial and repetitive range of motion is not in the nexus. It's in the DBQ. Well, somebody said, guess what? I got a video for that. What is the number one non-VA regulation that gets veterans into trouble? They said. I just updated it because the other one was outdated. So I had to do another video on it.
Well, they told me, I'd be like, well, who is they? They told you what?
The day, right? Put a name on the day. Oh man.
I don't know. I don't get it. I think that, you know, as a rater and the stuff I see, you know, when HerVet's house, I'd be like, we be in the back and I'd be like, today was not the day. And then we'll come on here and then some of the questions that and I had to explain to them, like, it's nothing against anyone on here, but it drives me nuts when people be like, oh, well, you know, I had this in service. This is this and they told me I can do it. And I'll be like, y'all ask us. That's why I say y'all ask us questions that we really technically can't answer because we don't have we can tell you what we think, but it, you know, without all the evidence that we can look at, we can't definitively we can tell you what to do. If you have people come after they filed 1,000,000 times and got denied, and then they want you to solve, well, why didn't they do this? I don't know. Even when raters ask me for help, they'll be like, well, I got this DBQ, and the examiner said, but why they say that? I don't know. Well, you got the case.
you're a rater. Why don't you know? You like,
exactly.
Do you know? And I have another business, VA Benefits Navigator, and we turned the educational packet that I created software. And it asks veterans questions. And then we created a university, and my second book is the curriculum. And we're about to graduate our first class. And it's a quiz. They take every class period, and we go around. And I'm just so thrilled and happy for these vets because when we're talking, now when they're talking back, they're speaking the VA claim language. They understand these things. And I'm just like, man, and they're like, and we've already had vets win. They're like,
what did they ask?
Let's see what they asked. Can I file a claim for lumbar spinal stenosis 10 years later? I did a 10-mile ruck march carrying 90 pounds at Fort Benning, Georgia in 2016.
The question I would ask, what is the link? What is the documented link? Do you have a parachute badge? But what is the documented link? Do you have a copy of your active duty service treatment records known as STRs? Does it show any treatment, complaint, diagnosis, injury, or disease in service? Because this is the thing, the definition of service connection, a monthly and I'm paraphrasing, monthly tax-free compensation due to aggravation of, I didn't open my big mouth, but basically while on active duty. Yeah. Not being diagnosed. Dwayne, I got diagnosed at the VHA, and the VA diagnosed me, and the VA denied me. VHA granted you not granted you, but provided a diagnosis of sleep apnea because you did a sleep study. But then you went over to VBA, and the VBA said no because why? Well, the VA, no, let's really dissect it. VHA and VBA, what is the difference? How many departments fall on the VBA? I don't know. Why you ask me that? Call me back when you find out, because that may help understand. And, you know, we laugh at it. And, I don't think we're not being mean to vets, but we're like, hey, you know, we get frustrated too because there's so much positive and a positive educational information out there. You have to invest. If you talk about you go live 3 days, I'm not going live 3 times a week. Negative Ghost Rider. No, you know, I'm putting up videos every other day, but you going live, and like Natural said, you bring raters on.
I do. They're with me every single time. If Natural FF is usually here with us as well, they both come and we tag team, answer questions, give insight, pull up forms. And then I give lay statements of what is good, what's bad, examples, everything.
You gave examples of good peer review
articles.
Yeah. A lot.
Before I go, Dewayne, I have one last question for you, and it is, what encouragement would you give to veterans who feel defeated in the process?
If you made it through basic training, advanced initial training, AIT, you went ahead of successful military career, you didn't quit.
Mhm.
How many times you probably got deployed? How many times you were away from your family? How many times you were out on field maneuvers, doing live fire, playing against Op 4 out of NTC in California, and you're going to let the VA now beat you?
Yeah.
Come on now. Don't give up. I think you said earlier, just because they said no,
It's not.
look for the correct answers
Mhm.
in that rating decision, build a game plan, and stay in the fight.
Yeah.
Don't go down a rabbit hole watching cola videos, okay? But continue to get the right information, continue to get educated, and don't give up.
Thank you for that.
And subscribe to HerVetVoice.
Thank you. It has definitely been a pleasure, Dewayne. I am so honored to have sat here with you. I thoroughly enjoyed this discussion. I know you guys will want us to do this much more often, but we will try to do this as much as we can, because we see, what can happen when you collab with someone who is intentional about making sure that our veteran community gets the strong and solid information that they need. As always, Dewayne, I am open to having you at any time, and however you want me to
Appreciate
pop
it.
in, I will definitely be there. If there's anything that I can do, I will definitely. I
Yep.
will pop in on your free session to see what's happening over there, because I would love to see how you maneuver behind the scenes, so I can encourage veterans also to come over to your space and gain the insight that they need without having to go through that hard think process of how to do it when there's someone that's simplifying the process for
Yeah.
them.
And sign up for the free boot camp and just start there. It's free.
Uh-huh.
The members, they'll get access to the software for free for 30 days.
Okay.
And then we do AMA, Ask Me Anything. And then they'll get access to show up. We go live every other Tuesday,
Okay.
and we update the users on software updates. So in there, we're not talking about so much VA claim
Yeah.
stuff, but updates in the software. So you get to see what it looks like, how they build their own educational packet, how they
Awesome.
can use that to study. And then the following week, we'll talk about it'll be basically a Q&A. And it's
Awesome.
free. Just log in. I'm pretty sure we'll have other discussions because I've
Awesome.
done town halls. It's
Yeah.
a plethora of stuff. So yeah, but thank you for having me. Thank you for what you and Natural do. If y'all doing this 3 times a week, people don't understand, you're spending time online and probably away from your families or just in front of TV watching your favorite TV show or whatever, because you have a passion for this. You got a passion for it, and you want people to win. And you have people and I'm retired, and I'm in the M21 at least 10 hours a week. When you see me saying, I'm talking about slide number 1, slide number 2, I've went and done some research, but you got an actual rater here tonight, Natural, that's giving you the nuggets.
The moment we found each other, we've been rocking ever since then.
Okay.
Yeah,
I want to know one thing. The Natural, you got an actual fro? You got that fro?
No, I locked my hair, so I have locks
Okay.
in my hair.
Now,
Yeah.
I have
I
some
used
old
to.
pictures of me, because I saw a picture of my mom holding my brother before I was born, and she had an afro. And I remember watching this movie, Enter the Dragon, with Bruce Lee, and there was a guy in there, black guy named Jim Kelly. He had a fro. So when I got out of the military, I just started growing my fro. And then when I started getting divorced, I started getting that George Jefferson. So I had to go ahead and take it all
You just
off.
decided to take it all off.
Yeah.
No.
But I used to go to work, and I had the big pick with the
Pick in your
fist.
head.
Yeah, I kept it on my clipboard because I was driving a Ford truck, and once I had to pick it out before I went on break. I was a lot younger then, so I thought I had it going on back then. So
As always, guys, subscribe to Dewayne. He gives great information. He posts videos all daily. I think sometimes Dewayne is always posting a video. Go over there, subscribe to his channel, show some love, and we will collab again soon, guys. Don't worry. We will try to get together as much as we can. It has definitely been a pleasure. Don't forget to be kind to each other. Share the information that you have learned here tonight. If you have any questions, you can come into either Dewayne's or my chat and ask. Like he said, there's always an open forum where you can go post your questions. When he goes, Dewayne, what night do you go
live? The first Wednesday of every month at 7 p.m. David and we go live the second Wednesday. Right now, we're doing it at 12. Okay. Normally, probably a few more months, we'll go back to 7 p.m. Okay. And then sometimes I'll have some pop-up.
Yeah, I see you pop up every now and then. He's always open to answering. Know that we cannot answer every single question, but there's opportunities where you can get your questions answered one-on-one. It is a pleasure to be here with you, Dewayne. I thoroughly enjoyed this. Thank you, Natural, as always. Guys, be kind to each other. Pay attention to what's happening, and we will definitely see you around soon. Take care.
Thank you, everyone. Good night.
You're not alone. You got a voice. Stand strong. Stay informed.